So the WNBA had their emergency meeting where they couldn't conclude what a woman was. They said, there are no eligibility issues. So we don't take kindly to these bad faith attempts to besmirch the league because it's all they could do. And, this is exactly what we predicted. They weren't going to be able to come out with a definition of woman because these are the games they want to play. Now the next step. I predict they're not going to entertain the draft paperwork for Enes Kanter and Royce White. I hope Enes and Royce sue, citing discrimination if they are ignored because they formally submitted, so they can't be ignored. So we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of crazy stories that we're going to go through. Admittedly, guys, it's one of those news days. The big news everyone's talking about is like Trump's names in the Kennedy Center again. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I guess. And then all the big news networks, they're just leading with stories from earlier in the week. So we do have a bunch of stories that are interesting, some smaller. We released our new video game on Timcast.com. It is The Legend of Hassan, where Hassan must face down wave after wave of his own dog using his electrical powers to put them in line. That's fun. But then we've got Tucker Carlson's Hunter Biden interview, which people have discussed, where Tucker says Israel made him smear Hunter Biden. And then we've got Minnesota. They are planning on an 11% tax hike, property tax hike. It's getting pretty crazy out there. And then we'll just talk about what's going on in the news. You know what I mean? We got another funny story that apparently Trump is charging $100,000 for early access to his posts, which would basically give you a leg up on the stock market. So people are rightfully freaking out about that. We'll talk about that and a lot more. Before we do, my friends, we've got a great sponsor for you. It is AmericanFinancing.net/Tim. My friends, everyday expenses keep climbing and high credit card interest isn't making life any easier. If your budget is feeling squeezed lately, there's a smarter way to take back control. If you're a homeowner, your home equity is your best financial tool. American Financing can help you consolidate high-interest credit card debt so you have some breathing room. Timing matters now more than ever with a strong chance of interest rate hikes this September. Waiting could cost you thousands, and with rates in the fives, there's no better time to find out how much you could save. Ditch those 20% interest rates. By consolidating, you can slash your monthly obligations. In fact, American Financing borrowers have an average of $800 a month. Imagine what kind of cash flow, what that kind of cash flow could do for your family. There are zero upfront fees, and you may even delay to 2 mortgage payments. Lock in your lower rate before September. Call today, 866-890-7811. That's 866-890-7811. Or visit AmericanFinancing.net/Tim. And don't forget to grab coffee. CastBrew.com. It's the best coffee. We got cold brew concentrate. We got bottled and canned water. And we also have a ton of whole and ground roast coffee. Appalachian Nights, of course, is everybody's favorite. But when you jump over to the ground coffee, we got a blend for everybody. Looks like Mary's Ghost Blend is taking over as the dominant flavor that everybody likes. Mary's Ghost Blend. You know, Halloween's not too far away, so you can pick that up. That's a s'mores coffee blend. Ian's Graphene Dream, low acidity. A lot of people say their stomachs, it hurts their stomach. They drink too much. You can get Ian's Graphene Dream. It's a low acidity coffee, better for your stomach. Don't forget, my friends, to also smash that like button. Share this show right now with everyone that you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and everything else, we have Max Garley.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Who are you? What do you do?
My name's Max. I am a writer. I write for The Spectator. I talk mostly about geopolitics, political economy, U.S. politics in general. I also make content on social media, Instagram. I'm trying to get more into X right now, but mostly I make reels and short videos on Instagram.
Right on. And then Libby's here too.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm Libby Emmons. I'm glad to be here with you guys. I'm the editor for The Post Millennial and host of the Pod Millennial.
We got the boys hanging out. Chris is here.
What's up? Chris Carr. I'm a writer and editor, and happy to be with the team tonight, guys.
What's going on? Everybody knows who I am. I'm Phil. What's up, Carter?
Everyone knows who I am. I'm Carter. So let's get into it. We got a full stack tonight.
Let's go. I love how all of the news outlets are handling this story. ABC7 says WNBA denounces bad faith transgender debate and says league has no eligibility issues.
I think that's transphobic. That's such a transphobic headline.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Well, what they're saying is that Royce White's experience, where he said that he was afraid of flying, was a manifestation of his gender dysphoria. They're basically saying this is the double-edged sword of the whole DEI trans stuff. Actually, quite simple. If you're allowed to insult one, you're allowed to insult all. And if you're going to argue that Royce White is lying, then I can argue that give me a name of somebody. Who's that congressperson?
Sarah McBride,
Lying.
Tremaine
Bad
Carroll.
faith effort. Tim McBride is a liar,
Definitely.
faking it for brownie points among the Democrats. That proves it.
Yeah. Tremaine Carroll, the California alleged rapist who's trying to go into a women's prison.
Well, that one might be fake, right?
I think.
Aren't they all fake?
I
mean,
think
they're all
that's
fake.
I think that's really the point
the
here.
point.
All of it is bad faith. We live in a society in which we can accommodate people. Well, we have the choice to accommodate people. Some people are going to say, no, I reject the fact that you're presenting yourself as a woman and I know you're a man. Some people are not, and they're going to use the preferred pronouns. But that's an individual choice. These people making demands for access to gender, and I don't even like to use the word gender because I don't believe gender is a thing. I think it's just sex. But women's spaces, right? Like the fact that they're making a demand for access to women's spaces, that's bad faith because you're supposed to just take their word for it and play along with what amounts to their disorder, right? And again, we say this kind of stuff all the time, but there is no other disorder that people have where we entertain the disorder.
Right.
If someone says my arm is not my arm, we don't say, well, that bad boy's got to go, right? Like we just don't do
Well,
that.
there is a doctor in the UK who did do that. He said that he had some kind of dysphoria and he was actually meant to be disabled. So he went through this whole thing and had his leg removed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, it's all
But-
crazy. And yeah.
the broader point is like you're supposed the medical establishment is supposed to help people that deal with this. If you're schizophrenic, you don't say, you know what, the voices are probably right. You know, you just don't do that. In no other context. Only crazy outliers where they say, okay, maybe you should remove a body part, or hey, maybe those voices you're hearing, maybe they actually got a point. Like that doesn't happen. So the
Right.
fact that we entertain this stuff, it's all bad faith.
Well, the real bad faith, though, I think, is on the part of the WNBA, who all of a sudden does not recognize gender self-ID after decades of us hearing that gender self-ID is the way to go, that if you are a trans woman, all you have to do is announce, I am a woman, I feel female, and we're supposed to all believe that you are female. So what's really bad faith is telling Royce White and Ennis Cantor Freedom, and I think another, be femaled, be penised person
Emailed.
who has said that she too is eligible for the WNBA draft, telling these people that they are not sincerely felt real women. That is in bad faith, given all of the rhetoric that we've had over the years. And I think that this is the perfect thing that happened, that these men came out, God bless them, and basically
Women. These women
Yes,
came out.
well, sure.
Cursed with this massive
Sure.
dong.
I'm glad they're living their truth.
Sure, they're living their truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you also had some trans activists being like, well, if you really feel it, then, take some hormones and cut your dick off. And it's like, you know what? We were told that it's gender self-ID, that if a rapist identifies as a woman, he can get transferred into California Women's Correctional in Chowchilla, and that's nobody's business. The ACLU has told us. We don't even get to know how many, right? There's one guy in California who literally murdered a bunch of children and is now in prison with those children's mother, right? Same prison.
I think the cult has abandoned these people.
Has abandoned who?
The trans stuff.
The trans. I think.
Like look
so,
at
too.
AOC. She's like, woke one was crazy, and it's. I think the cult is the cult. The cult doesn't care what they're attached to. Their activism, their logic makes no sense.
Well, we're a couple of things past trans at this point, right? Because it was BLM, then trans, then
I think we won.
Palestine, like pro-Gaza
This is
stuff.
why it's all Israel right now.
Right, and now we're at ICE. So
Like-
we're like two things past trans.
I think if you look at the left wing channels, they're not talking about trans stuff, and they don't care.
They don't want it.
Yeah, no, they're like, we lost. So they're
because-
like Israel, and then you get Tucker and a bunch of other people being like Israel, and now they've got their coalition.
And now it's the ICE thing, too.
I'm gonna
That's
say
part of
this, like seeing this stuff from Tucker, I would not be surprised if in 2 years Tucker is a Democrat, because look at the stuff he's advocating for in his show. It's prices are too high, and this country is not about capitalism. This is unfair, and Israel, like he may as well be Anna Kasparian at this point. Like, I'm not even kidding.
The thing too, though, is like all of these people identify problems, but that does not mean that they know what the solutions are. Sure, prices are too high. I think that's true too, but that doesn't mean government controls and price controls are the answer.
I don't think Tucker believes in anything. I think he just tells his audience what they want to hear exactly.
Yeah, of course.
He's just a grifter.
He's making way more money now than he did when he was at Fox News. That's crazy.
Wait.
Is it? And it's not all just on the little nicotine things.
Well, I mean, so the estimate from what was it, like Hollywood Reporter or Forbes? I'm sorry, was that he's doing $20 million a year. But then you add his nicotine stuff, and what I really love about the nicotine is how anti-conservative these products are, selling addictive degeneracy to conservatives. Right. Like, look, I'm being a dick. I really don't care if you. What's his company called?
Alp.
Those are his?
Yeah.
I see him on the TV.
Yeah, I see him in the
I don't care if it's better than smoking, and I don't care if you want to do drugs. I'm fairly libertarian in that regard. I'm not a conservative, But it's funny that you've got people who are like, we've got a problem with degeneracy in this country, and then, he's all like, you want some drugs? And they're like, yeah. Depends on the drug, but yeah.
Well, he's all for freedom, but he'll be Putin's lapdog, just shipping to Russia.
Yeah, I just want to make one point. Nicotine patches or the Zins and stuff like that, they're not better than smoking.
Oh, they're not?
Smoking rules, dude.
Terrible for your
But it messes your lungs up, bro.
Look, man, when they come out with the cigarettes that give you vitamins and minerals, I am back on it, man. Sorry for hitting the table.
That's all right.
But yeah, look, Tucker is he's got to be just going for the money, right? It's fairly clear. I mean,
and he kind of seems like he wants back in the fold.
How do you say that? What makes you say that?
He's butting up with Hunter Biden?
But it's really the buddying up with Hunter Biden, the not holding him to account for Burisma, not asking him any questions about that, not asking questions about, the Ukraine loan withholding.
So you think this is a play for the Democratic establishment people?
No, I think he's just, wants his friends back.
Back to CNN, maybe?
Yeah, back to that whole thing where, you see, like, it seems like it'd be nice to be warm and fuzzy in the fold, just believing and telling the lies you're told.
It is weird because I watched like half of that Tucker interview with Hunter Biden, and I couldn't watch the rest of it. It's kind of like insufferable. It's the best way I can describe it.
Did you see what Seamus did for Freedom Tunes?
Yeah. But he did say that like he grew up on the same street as Hunter, something like that.
They were like, we grew up in the same town.
Yeah, right.
Right. Actually,
we knew a lot of the same people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was all very weird. And, yeah.
I mean, look, why he sat down with Hunter Biden. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Hunter, paid him to sit down and give him a softball interview because Hunter's looking to run.
But the Bidens are broke. Haven't you heard?
I doubt it.
That's what they made a lot. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, well, they made a lot of money in Ukraine, if I understand correctly. So
$80,000 a month for a while.
I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. But when it comes to, back to the trans issue stuff, like the WNBA is not going to let these guys play, and no one on the left is going to make a stink about it, right? Like it's just not going to happen. And I do think that the trans stuff is over. I think that was the thing that really took the steam out of the left and the whole woke movement. Mm-hmm. The trans people saying, look, you have to recognize my identity, when your average person that was just like, well, maybe there are too many black people getting killed by cops. Maybe the police are too aggressive. Maybe that's actually true. Maybe, that didn't really look into it. And they're like, generally they want to think of themselves as nice people. And like, maybe they got a point. And then the whole LGBT stuff, you hear trans people saying, well, if you don't S my D, you're a bigot. Dudes are like, whoa, hold on here. Because it wasn't very long until that was going to become a thing. There were already a lot of trans people that were making those remarks. There's still trans people on trans women on the internet that say, look, if you won't date a trans woman, you're a bigot. And dudes are like, I do not care. Call me a bigot.
What did they say?
The girl penis. Like, come on.
Phallic shaped object.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the cotton ceiling. The lesbians that would not date a trans.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah. They pissed everybody off.
Ceiling,
what does that mean?
Panties, basically. Like underwear.
That's so weird.
Cotton ceiling. Yeah.
So I want to jump to this next story, but I got to make an announcement. So for those that saw, I tweeted out at 7:38 that The Legend of Hassan video game is available at timcast.com to play it. Go to read in the top bar, or just click the link in my my X post, and you can play The Legend of Hassan. In the long ago of 7 months ago, Hassan faced down wave after wave of his own dog, using the power of electrocution to get them to fall in line. This is your quest. You are Hassan. The power is yours. And I do have to, most ever driven off, 2,400. Is that it? So here's the game. It's a side-scrolling arcade shooter where all these dogs are, wave after wave of your own dog are coming up. You can earn experience points and then level up and choose. I'm going to go with quick fire. There we go. So I can electrocute my dog faster. And then you'll notice the top right, my viewers, instead of getting points that go up, every time you electrocute your dog, your viewer count goes down. And there are a bunch of Easter eggs. So this was a joke that I made in 3 minutes on Claude, so I'll just tell you all the jokes. Once your viewer count gets to 0, it switches to kick, and your viewer count starts going up. Because on kick, they want you to electrocute the dog. And then I do have to announce that we have a winner. I said that I would pay one person $100 for winning. And I did not think it would happen this fast, but it did. And we got a winner here. I believe his name is Neil Williams. He said, "Don't hurt the dogs," and indeed. In fact, if in the game, let's refresh it. If you don't electrocute your dog, they won't bite you. That's it. It's an important lesson for everybody.
Just be nice to the puppers.
great.
Don't electrocute your dog. So I sent Neil $100, and it says, "Congratulations, you didn't electrocute your dog. You win. After 3 waves of not electrocuting your dog, you win the game." So that's it. That's the joke. It's pretty hilarious that you can make games in 3 minutes and put it on your website that quickly. Let's jump to the next story, though. We got this one from Middle East Eye. Tucker Carlson says Israel pushed him to report false allegations against Hunter Biden. Former U.S. President's son says Netanyahu Operations Center was involved in disseminating alleged drugs and sex leaks. The claim that there was material involving the abuse of minors on the computer came from the Israelis, Carlson said in an interview aired on Monday. "I'm just telling you that they came to me with it, and that's how I know it." Everything's fake.
I mean,
bro, that's just not true. Okay? Guys, I can't tell you how many people came to me and offered the hard drive. How many people offered you his hard drive?
Couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. And Hunter Biden signed off on dropping it off. Now, maybe that's all fabricated, but Hunter didn't even deny it. He was like, "I have no recollection of dropping that off." And like, that's a legal answer you give in court when you know you did, but you don't want to perjure yourself.
Right. And on the interview, I listened to probably as much of it as Carter did, that they got into about how the laptop was probably misinformation from Ukraine.
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
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 The pictures
From Ukraine?
of him were all misinformation.
Was it Ukraine? Wasn't it?
I don't know. I watched his Soft
Russia?
White
Was it
Underbelly
Russia?
one too, but in both of them, he said like, yeah, it was totally like it came from Rudy Giuliani, made it all up, got it
Right.
from somewhere else. Like,
Somebody else dropped it off.
Right.
But I thought maybe it wasn't
I
Ukraine.
think-
Maybe it was Russia. I'm tired, you guys. Sorry. But
I'll defer to you.
But it was they were definitely talking about how it was misinformation. And it sounded like a repetition of the Jen Psaki talking points
Yeah.
and the 51 CIA agents who all said that it had hallmarks of Russian disinfo.
He denied everything pretty
Seamus Coughlin.
And he wasn't pressed. I mean, Tucker did not press him. That's the thing. You remember that interview he did with Ted Cruz? Like, he basically held him up against the wall by his neck and his feet were dangling. And in this case, there was nothing. There was no pushback, no in-depth questioning. It was just
Look.
well, yeah.
Let me tell everybody
crazy.
something, right? Right now, on this episode, we have on YouTube 11,375 concurrent viewers. On Rumble, we have about 9,000. That's low. That's low. This time last year, we would have been at 50,000 combined. But you know what? Look, we're in the summer. Election cycle's not yet started. And look, Trump's got a trifecta. There's no great political conflict right now for the most part. Now, for me, I've run this business for a really long time. Tucker actually is relatively new. How long has Tucker been doing his thing? A couple of years now?
Yeah, like
Is
a year
that
and
a thing?
half, 2
Yeah, a
years.
couple years.
It's been a couple of years. I think the thing for Tucker is that, he worked at Fox News for a long time. There's a couple arguments you can make. One, that Fox constrains him. Basically, when he's at Fox, he's got producers, and he says, "What do I say?" And so those famous monologues he had, you guys all know that those were written for him.
Yeah.
And the dude who wrote it, who does he work for now?
Matt Walsh.
He works for Matt? Wow.
Matt
No wonder
has
Matt's...
great monologues.
Yeah.
He's killing it.
So there were a couple of writers. There was one principal writer. And
Really talented.
Yes. And that was who was writing the monologues for Tucker. Tucker was just a guy to go on TV and sit there and read about it. So what's going to happen? Well, Tucker does his own show, and he's chasing the views. Here's the reality. Trump's got a trifecta. He's got Congress, he's got the House, he's got the Senate. So he's got the legislative branch, he's got the Supreme Court, he's got the executive branch. Not that it's perfect or a strong trifecta, but this means that any issue we face in this country, everyone's pointing at him. Inflation is high, gas prices are up, burritos are $20. Well, Republicans got everything. They're the issue. So for the most part, regular Americans aren't hyper-focused on politics right now because there's no great political battle. You did it, you got Trump, and you're still unhappy, so people are kind of checking out. Not to mention, there's very few young people. So if you want to maintain viewership, and we talk about this every political cycle, guys. I was hanging out at Luke Rutkowski's house in 2012 in the winter. Obama's about to get elected. And I was only doing a little bit of YouTube stuff. I was doing live stream stuff at the time with Ustream. Luke had been on YouTube for, at that point, 6-7 years. And so he said, after Obama's elected, all the views on our content is going to go to zero because nobody cares about politics right after the election. Well, the truth is you'll get the first 100 days news cycle, and then that tracks. Basically, you get that first year of what's going to happen next. And with Trump's first year of his second term, there's a lot happening. USAID getting shut down. Now, not a whole lot. I mean, we had big viewership when the war started. When we get big primary elections, then we can see viewership spikes. The Supreme Court rulings, our viewership spikes. We had one like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I can't remember what it was, but we ended up with like 60. I think we had 70,000 concurrent viewers. When there's political action, our views are through the roof, and we know it because we're a news show. Now, what if you're, Tucker, and you're watching your views go down, or there's a bunch of other podcasters doing this. Well, you make a video about Israel, and then you notice you get a little bit more views. So you make another video about Israel. And eventually you're like, hey, man, ragging on Israel. We're getting a lot of views.
Doing amazing.
I wonder where those views are from, though, because Americans don't really care all that much. I imagine if Americans don't care about politics, you got a big audience with all these other Muslim countries that don't like Jews in Israel. So it's not surprising
Maybe Dearborn.
that we're seeing things like this. But I would also add for this is, guys, I said it before, I'll say it again. I reported in February that there were rumors in the Beltway that there was going to be, like with Tucker and with a bunch of these people, a breakaway coalition that would align left, try and pull Trump derangement moderates from the left. So the establishment is worried about socialism. They might have even just stolen the election in Wisconsin. I don't know. But the pitch was Tulsi Gabbard was going to resign. We were going to see a bunch of people break from Trump to form this like anti-war, anti-Israel, but respectful and not woke anti-Trump. The idea was that a lot of neocons and moderates joined the Democratic Party because they hate Trump. And this empowered socialists and like trans kid stuff. Well, when these elites are like, well, we don't want any of that. That's bad. We're losing because of that. How do we maintain the anti-Trump but attract more people? The rumor was that you were going to get this breakaway thing. And people ask me like, oh, you think like Tucker or Tulsi is going to be a Democrat? And 3-4 months ago, I was like, I don't know, that seems like a long shot. Not anymore.
No.
Not with Tucker apologizing to Hunter saying, you're a good dude and Israel made me do it. Now there's a perfect lineup for the Krasensteins to come out and be like, Tucker may be a bad dude, but he's doing the right thing now. Yeah. How much do you want to bet in the next several months following the primaries or whatever, probably sooner than that, you are going to see mainstream libs, not like Kyle Kalinske, but like David Pakman say, Tucker Carlson did some bad things, but he's owning up to it. And that's all we ask. And then I actually think there's a decent probability following the Hunter Biden interview that Tucker Carlson becomes a Democrat and actually advocates for moderate, sane Democrats in the 28 cycle.
Do you think Marjorie Taylor Greene will join him?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that principled. I mean, I think Tucker's kind of just like a bullied kid. If you remember, he used to wear bow ties until he got bullied into not wearing bow ties. I mean, I don't think Tucker really is that. I think he's really just about two things, and that's about being liked and then using that to make money.
And maybe going fishing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hawking his nicotine pouches.
Right. That's part of it.
Yeah.
You can do that while you're fishing.
Oh, certainly. Film a great ad.
Yeah, that's a good ad, actually.
Yeah.
Does he have one like that?
I'm sure he does.
He must.
Yeah.
What do you think if he were to go to like to become a Democrat, right? And say we're the normal Democrats, because everyone knows there's a civil war going on in the Democrat Party right now between the progressives and the normal Democrats. It looks like the normal Democrats are going to fall in line behind the progressives because they're the ones with the energy. They're the ones that are going to do the canceling if you step out of line, et cetera. What do you think the chances of quote unquote normal Democrats abandoning the progressives and falling?
100%. All the polling shows this. We had, I think, 2 polls now showing that it's nearly 4-1 when a Democratic Socialist is up against a Republican. The Republican wins. There was what was that? We pulled this up like 3 days ago. There was one that was published by Washington Post did a poll, and they said that party favorability for Democratic Socialists is like 20%. Yep. Party favorability for Republicans is like 55%. When people are given the option to vote between a Democratic Socialist and a Republican, they vote Republican 4-1. So what I see is a strong probability. The rumors all make sense. I'm going to say it again. I was told earlier this year Tulsi would resign. And I question this stuff. Do you think that like moves are made over resignations over a weekend? When I reached out to some people, they were like, there's absolutely no way Tulsi's going to resign. I said on my show, like, the claim is like there's going to be like this Tulsi, she's a moderate. She joined Trump, but now she'll break away. Maybe RFK Jr., obviously with Joe Kent. Everybody says, yeah, there's no way Tulsi's breaking away. And then a few months later, she resigns. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Then Hunter Biden and Tucker do this show, and Tucker's like, I was completely wrong. I should never have supported Donald Trump. I mean, it's actually really bad. And it was Israel that made me report these things, actually. And I'm like, well, here you go. Hunter Biden represents non-woke Democrats. So what may happen, Phil, I think there's a potential there. I think they're planning for these contingencies. If in 2028, the Democratic Socialists have stolen the gas from the Democratic Party, and they're going to win these primaries, they're going to send in their spoilers to pull as many moderates as possible from the Democratic Party to ensure a Rubio-Vance ticket. So let's say that Vance and Rubio, because Trumpism right now is not particularly popular, economy's bad, war is very unpopular, Trump's now selling this access to his account, like Joe Rogan's going like, what is happening?
That's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's crazy. We'll get to that in a second. But let's say you get a J.D. Vance, who is fairly vanilla pudding, but people are going to be like, no, we don't want more of this. Let's say that J.D. Vance can only muster up 44%. The Democratic Socialists conquer the Democratic Party, use anti-Trumpism to get the plurality. That's when you dispatch the Tucker ticket. He may not be a Democrat. They may be that third party he's talking about. It could be a Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Kent ticket. But if that pulls 5% from the Democrats, because there's going to be a bunch of Dems who are like, I hate Trump, but the socialists are crazy, I'm voting Tulsi, Vance wins.
I mean, that would be, the best outcome that I could think of, whether it be Vance or Rubio or whoever the most likely, whoever the conservative or the Republican candidate is, they're probably going to be better than basically anything the Democrats have to offer, including, Tucker Carlson. I mean, I went and watched the whole hour and a half of him talking about his point-by-point thing. There's only a handful of things in it that I found that I wasn't particularly interested in, and most of it was his delivery. Mm-hmm. But it really, I don't feel like that is going to that plan is going to resonate with regular, quote unquote, regular Democrats.
Well, I was not going to watch an hour and a half of Tucker talking. He's never been my guy. I don't really keep up with him that much, but I read the bullet points that he put out, and they're grievances. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not a plan there. They're just grievances. It's
some of them are good.
Letter from Tucker.
Some of them are fine.
Yeah, well, of course.
People shouldn't live through debt. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I got to be honest, the stuff that he's preaching is very aligned with left populism. So he had this whole thing today about Ben Shapiro being a psyop, which is, it's crazy. He's basically saying, he kept saying they created Ben Shapiro over and over again.
They?
Elites and special interests. He said, he said Ben Shapiro is boomers' vision of what a young person thinks. And they're using Ben Shapiro to send this messaging, this political ideology to young people. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and it worked because of the trans stuff, which we all think they probably created anyway. And it's again, it's just like, who is they though?
The Jew.
Who is they though?
He then mentions Israel a couple times, but he doesn't explicitly say it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he talks about, he was complaining because Ben Shapiro said burritos don't cost $20. Good burritos cost $20. And he said, if you can't afford a $20 burrito, too bad. Save up, split rent with your buddies. And I'll just say like everybody's wrong.
I think everybody's wrong is usually the right answer.
Yeah, no, I mean like burritos, a good high quality burrito shouldn't be $20. Like a Chipotle burrito is $16.
I don't know. I went to during Burrito Gate, I went to the Chipotle menu because I don't typically order Chipotle, and I looked at a burrito and it was $19.50 on the menu.
And
I did
that's
think
high
that was a
quality.
lot. Yeah, I mean, I tend to
get
make
extra
my
steak,
own
it's $20.
birria, and it's awesome and good, and not $20 because like the whole piece of meat is $20.
Taco Bell burrito is like $3.50.
Sure. I used to get California burritos all the time from this place in Philly when I was much younger, and they were $8.50, and I got one every single day for lunch, and it was like as big as my head.
Yeah, but
Oh,
everything.
dude, there's some spots in LA, like in just
My
just
goodness.
outside of Koreatown. What's that street that Larchmont is on? Not Larchmont, the cross street. I can't remember the name.
I
I used to
don't
live
know LA
there.
too well.
And if you walk down that, if you go from Larchmont and you head east, there's a Mexican restaurant with like dirt cheap, massive burritos, and they do that panini grill thing on them. Man, those were the days.
My son still talks about we went to LA a couple years ago, so I had to do a thing with Prager, and we ate all the Mexican food in LA. We ate so much Mexican food, and there was this one burrito that we got, and it was $12, and it was giant. And he still talks about it as like the absolute best burrito he's ever had. It's the reason I learned how to make birria and like burritos and stuff, other than just like here's some taco meat, put it in the thing. So yeah,
It might be Beverly. I'm not sure if it was
good.
Beverly.
But yeah,
Taco meat.
burrito, like a high quality burrito. I don't know. I don't think it should be $20. But then again, there's a lot of things that are way too expensive. I'm tired of going to the grocery store and having like every steak I pick up be $35.
This is all because of the inflation that we saw after COVID. Like it takes. Oh, this is why inflation is so pernicious, right? Well, a nasty bout of inflation is so pernicious and it hurts so bad, is because it takes forever for wages to catch up.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
No one honestly, in 10 years, if there's no big economic shocks and wages catch up, people aren't going to think, oh, the $20 burrito is so terrible. They're going to be like, well, $20 isn't what it used to be, right? And it's true. But, $20 now isn't what it was in 2005, but that's because of the inflation that we have. And you can lay that directly at the feet of bad policy during COVID, right? Like they shouldn't have printed up all that money. In fact, to be honest with you, I would even go so far as to say that it was bad policy through the teens, right? They shouldn't have kept interest rates at zero just to keep the stock market afloat. Every time they tried to lower or to raise interest rates, the stock market took a tank, and whoever was president, Trump, Obama, didn't matter. They all chickened out.
What do you make
real
of this? What do you guys make of this El Sayed thing where he's like,
The Blue's Clues thing?
no, there was the Blues Clues thing, but then also how
He's gay.
how banks helped him have a Sharia mortgage, which means no interest. Yeah,
I like that.
Oh, sure.
yeah, no
I'm
interest.
sorry. No interest mortgage,
It
really.
was a no interest mortgage. So banking institutions have been working to create financial products specifically for Muslims that adhere to Sharia law.
Well,
which
hold
is
on.
where
I want
interest
one.
is. Who doesn't want a forking?
I ain't gonna
no
complain.
Well,
about
you still have to pay
mortgage?
interest. So I actually just wrote a piece about this. It should be coming out soon. Basically, the Sharia compliant finance stuff, instead of charging you interest, they just buy the house, then charge you more for the house, and split that into 50 easy installments. So you're essentially paying interest. It's literally just a loophole to get around saying it's officially interest.
Okay.
And usually the rates are crappier because for
Yeah,
the service
sounds
that they
bad.
provide, they want to make some money. So
Right.
yeah, not great.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, I'm mad.
Oh no,
I wouldn't
terrible.
be
Islam,
mad,
ooh.
but like,
That's a trick.
if somebody was getting a no interest mortgage, I want one.
Abdul El Sayed has a bunch of really weird videos.
The Blues Clues thing is weird.
Should we pull that one up?
Yes.
Oh, man. Listen, I'm trying really hard because, like, right now, like, let me pull this up. Politics is really divided. And I'm like, I'm gonna give this guy a fair shake. You know what I mean?
I'm not.
I'm gonna give this. Well, I want to give. If he's gonna come out and say he's not a socialist, but the DSA is campaigning for him, I'm gonna say it like it is. DSA was campaigning on his behalf. He's claiming he's not a socialist. I don't believe it. But come on, guys. You ready for this one? This is
That's real.
Makes me wanna wag my tail. When it comes, I wanna wail.
It was way better than when Steve did it.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks, mailbox. We just got a letter. We just got a letter.
flat.
We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from. Oh, it looks like my ballot. Brought to me by my Secretary of State.
I thought this was AI.
And with it,
Oh my
I
God,
can
so did
participate
I.
in democracy. The first day that I
Who's
can
he
turn this
trying
in
to
is
show?
June
Who's
25th.
this targeted
It
at?
has to be postmarked by July 21st.
Star Wars adults.
Or I can drop it off up until Election Day, which is August 4th.
Disney
Thanks,
adults
Secretary
do.
of State.
30-year-olds that
Thanks,
buy
mailbox.
Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Seems like he
Votes
wants
could
kids
do
to vote.
what we can too.
I don't understand.
I think this is going to cost him the election.
That is so.
It
Makes
should.
me wanna wag my tail. When it comes, I wanna wail.
The most offensive part to me was this right here
We just got a letter. We just got a letter.
because he's flat.
Oh,
He is flat. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just.
But you guys remember? I mean, that's
What's up?
That's from Blue's Clues. That's the.
Well, I mean, I was.
Blue's Clues was weird enough.
I didn't watch.
My kid will not be watching any of this weird psychobabble nonsense.
Won't be watching
Seen
El Said
Cocomelon?
commercials either.
I ain't going anywhere near that psychobabble
That's like
garbage.
crack for kids.
Which
nuts.
one?
But it's
Cocomelon.
it's like
Oh,
it's
no,
it's called it's like it's retardational.
It is.
You know, like if you
so
want to make your,
dopaminergic.
So's Peppa Pig.
no. But the dopamine isn't the question. The question is like you can trigger kids' dopamine through video games
Yeah.
that are or movies or content that is real in a sense. Like you can put on a show that's exciting with loud music, but it's real people doing real things. Like a guy is playing rock music in a band and everyone's screaming and cheering, and then he's pointing and everyone's laughing. But those are things real humans do. But this children's stuff is like, it's like, this is what Ian sees. Like when I go to get my mail, I go and I grab the letters and I walk upstairs and I'm like, Phil, I think someone sent you fan mail or something. And Phil will be like, oh, okay. And then I'll be like, oh, it's got a bill, some text thing. Oh, here, Chris, someone sent a letter to you. Ian is sitting there watching me and I'm the Blues Clues guy going, we just got a letter. Hey, Phil. It's fan mail. And Ian's sitting there with his eyes all big, like, whoa. That's what kids are doing watching this stuff. You are inducing that in their brains. That being said, back to the main point, Abdul Al Sayed, Lord have mercy, what are you doing? There's more. Should I pull up the other stuff?
He thinks
why
he's
not?
appealing to
Guess
his,
so.
his
Please
voters
do.
as he
Infantile base,
infantilizing.
yeah, exactly.
Infantilizing them.
Well, I mean, the Democrats do want to lower the voting age to 16, but even still, this seems.
Yeah, this is way below that.
ridiculous.
I have no idea who this is
Wait,
targeting.
what is this?
Yeah, this is
Crazy.
what, 4 years
No,
old?
this is not real. Is this real?
Right? Yeah, for real. Well, so are their
Is this
math
real?
reading levels.
I can't tell if it's AI anymore. Is this real?
Oh, man.
I fear it might be.
That doesn't look like AI.
I know.
Well, chances
We're gonna get a strike for that stupid song.
I mean, look, I love that song, so I'm not going to talk.
This is real.
Yeah, that's totally real.
You could put
You know
it
what?
Like a,
Not
Guys.
more outlandish than the Blues Clues. thing.
Guys, I figured it out. I'm gonna run as a Democrat, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wear Harry Potter robes, and the debate, literally, you know, during the debate, I'm just gonna stand there with like in the robes and the wand, and then whenever someone says something, I'm gonna cast a Harry Potter spell.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, "Your tax policy, confundus," and then the crowd's gonna go, "Ah!" They're all gonna be screaming like Harry Potter, and then I'll be like, "Guys, what he just said, it's what Darth Vader would say," and then they're all the Democrats go, "Ah!" They're all like, my point is, this works. He won.
Yeah, he did.
He actually won the primary.
Yeah, he did.
So
But
this
Francesca
stuff?
Hong didn't. You think they stole it from her? She was up for by less than a point for.
I
5
think they're
minutes.
I think it's the other way around. Like the dude from Milwaukee, Milwaukee has an error, and the dude from Milwaukee wins, and he was behind.
Right.
Like my question is,
Well,
maybe
Crowley was behind in the polls, but he was never behind on election night. Like I was watching that thing.
back in
kept-
2018.
Oh no, I thought you meant Tuesday.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
Because other Crowley was the AOC Crowley. Remember?
Yeah, isn't that the guy's name, David Crowley?
I think so.
I wasn't even paying any attention to
Well,
him.
so she was up in the polls by
Right.
double digits.
So either the
prediction
polls were
markets
totally wrong.
had her at 99.9 to win. Bro, if on election day you went on one of these prediction markets and put $100 down, which is at 0.1, 10 hours later you'd have cleared 13 grand. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is
Because
pretty wild.
they were all wrong. First thing I did when I saw her lose, I was like, I'm looking up all the primaries now where the Democratic Socialists are favored to win heavy in the polls. There's a couple coming up. There's one in Florida. And I'm just like, they're all switching now.
Well, the
Basically,
polling
everyone's
has
like, the
been-
polls are wrong, bet against them.
The polling has been screwed up for years and
Yes,
years
but
now.
has it? That's the question. The dude from Milwaukee who was behind in the polls, there's an accidental error benefiting him in Milwaukee.
Right, with the like 5 USB drives or whatever.
We got the wrong data on it. We have to go and check. So
We should go
the-
download
what
it.
the argument people are making is that the checking was that they needed to know the exact tally numbers at the end of the night so they knew how many fake ballots to add. I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying
Right.
maybe the socialists actually are doing really well and Syed was supposed to lose, but they didn't cheat enough.
But do you think they're that organized? Like, I feel like the
Whoa, what do you
I
mean?
think they're pretty organized.
Are you saying if like one woman in Milwaukee County could flub 5 USBs? Absolutely.
fair enough.
You don't need it. You don't for a primary.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, this is the thing. Milwaukee is the dense urban population. That's where you're going to get your biggest density of votes per USB stick. So when they go missing, again, I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I'm just saying the rumors online are that they wait until 3 or 3:50 a.m. or whatever to see what the vote count was, so they knew no more would likely come in. That way, okay, we're going to need 20,000 votes, so he can't lose. If you do it early on and your margins are off, he loses. So that's why the ballot dumps are always at 2 or 3 in the morning. I don't know though. Don't look at me. It would. I guess the challenge is if the machine. I don't know. It's kind of weird to see the dude Kornacki on NBC just be completely dumbfounded. You guys saw that?
Yeah.
That was wild. And then he I can't remember what the quote was, but he was like, "How do I say this?" And everyone's like, he wants to say they stole the election, but he can't because he's on NBC. So I just wonder, maybe I got, knowing the libs that I know, I think what he's doing is going to work for him. Like, I'm not even kidding, guys. I'm pretty sure that if Syed showed up to a debate dressed as a Harry Potter character and literally did what I explained, he'd do well. They'd be like, he won the debate because he spoke to his audience.
Yeah. I mean, it's a clown show. We're like, we're like 2 elections away from Alondo. What's his name? Elizondo, the guy from the president from Idiocracy.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Is it Alondo Elizondo?
Camacho. It was
President
Elizondo Camacho something.
They had
Mountain
his
Dew
number,
Herbert or
right.
something like that.
Right.
I forget what his.
All they drink is Gatorade.
Yeah.
They water crops.
No, Brondo.
They water the
yeah,
crops with it,
great.
and they can't
Right.
figure out why things aren't growing.
But I mean, not kidding around. Like, we're just a couple elections away from that. I mean,
Right.
personally, I think that it started with President Obama wanting to slow jam the news, and because he was kind of the first social media president and stuff, and
Not
Donald
with
Trump.
Bill Clinton playing
That's
saxophone.
exactly
Well,
what I was
yeah,
thinking
maybe-
about.
maybe
that,
maybe
that
Bill
opened
Clinton.
the door for it. Yeah.
I mean, the MTV generation, the whole Rock the Vote thing, that might have actually been the beginning. So fair enough. But then Barack Obama wanting to do all the appearances on late night TV and stuff. Donald Trump being a TV personality before he was even a president obviously turned it up. Like, seriously, there's going to be some, like Shawn Michaels is going to run, and you're going to have he's going to walk out to do the State of the Union with the Sexy Boy song.
Right. Yeah.
Shawn Michaels is a wrestler.
Bro, it's like Idiocracy was not wrong. Mike Judge was
He's always
prophetic.
right. Office Space was perfect. If
Yeah.
anyone's ever worked in an office.
And there's more videos. Should I pull up the rest of them?
Let's see them.
I guess so.
Everyone's like, yes, I'd like to see that. I don't even know how to find it. Was it singing?
There's definitely been singing.
The Blues Clues one is the one that's really taking off.
It's like disturbing.
Yeah. I didn't know what to think of that. Still don't.
Well, it's not the democracy that we need, but I think it's the democracy that we deserve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
We let
I
too many
hate
people-
that.
we let too
I
many
hate
people
that for
vote.
us.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we picked our bed and we lay in it. This is the quality of candidates that we're looking at.
We allow too many people to vote, so you have to appeal to the lowest common denominator.
We're really close on that, Phil. How about nobody votes?
I mean, I am being swayed. I am being swayed. Like this whole democracy thing.
Yeah.
I can't actually find the other ones. He's got a bunch of these though.
I saw a great meme. Like someone had. It was George Washington saying, "You let women vote," and then there was a guy behind him saying, "You let people vote." Because
That's the joke is like people always say the founding fathers. If they saw what was going on today, they'd be busting camps already. And it's like, bro, if you went to the founding fathers, they'd be like things went wrong in 1830, not 1999.
things went wrong, and
They'd be like, blasphemy's legal? You'd be like, yeah, you'd be surprised, boys.
things went wrong in the 1760s.
Well, this is one of the arguments some of the more reactionary Democrats make is that they say that Thomas Jefferson anticipated the Constitution being rewritten every couple generations or
It's
something
true.
like that. Yeah.
And the issue, I'm Thomas. How do I say this? Thomas Jefferson was wrong about a lot. He was right about a lot, but he was wrong about a lot.
Cool house, though.
Cool house, right? He was right about the founding of this country, and I think he was wrong about religion, and I think he was wrong about the rewriting of the Constitution, and I'm glad some of his ideas didn't get implemented.
He was wrong about the French Revolution. He was very pro-French Revolution in the beginning, and then he's like, whoa, wait a second. The Jacobins, you guys are nuts.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the point, because he said he said something about a Constitution would need to be rewritten because he made a point about.
Was it every 40 years? Because that's the generational.
I don't think he's at 40, but it might have been. But his point was that it would be absurd in 200 years for dead men to be, making the laws for a wholly different people. The problem is Thomas Jefferson's life, the way he lived technologically, was functionally identical to 200 years before. Mm-hmm. The technological advancements were so dramatically minimal. Like, they had muskets for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Muzzle-loading muskets for hundreds of years, and no one thought to rifle or make cartridges until the 1800s.
And this isn't an argument to get more people involved in the way that your society is organized, right? Just because Jefferson said, "Oh, you should rewrite the Constitution every 40 years or whatever," he said, doesn't mean that every Tom, Dick, and Harry should be allowed to vote and have a say, and we should have a democracy where every single person gets to vote and that matter, and every vote counts. That shouldn't be the way that society is organized. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the reason why we have representatives, right? That's the reason why the federal government is supposed to be limited. Right. Because Congress people can't be expected to know the ins and outs of every vote that they're taking. The government is supposed to have the federal government is supposed to have very few powers, and then the states are supposed to have more power to affect the daily lives of the people that live in those states. And your municipalities are really where you're going to actually have the biggest effect. You can go down the street and look for your selectman and yell at him if he passes a bill that you don't like. You got a whole lot more chance of affecting your life if you're dealing with your local legislator somehow than if you're dealing with your congressperson who represents however many people they represent.
Yeah,
400,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So the argument that the left makes, they say, they wanted the founders wanted to rewrite the Constitution. That doesn't mean that they wanted to have you deciding how I get to live.
You want to know something crazy? There was a shooting in my neighborhood in Chicago recently. Mm-hmm. And it was I don't know the story though, because I'm just hearing it from friends, but I got sent a video about the news report from my neighborhood. And it was old people. It was right outside of a school. And so I pop open this video on YouTube and I'm watching and I hear the lady saying the shooting happened, and they're showing shots of the streets and the shots of the school. And it shows all the locals standing outside of their houses watching because the squad cars have blocked the road off. And this is the neighborhood that I'm from. Everybody was Indian.
Really? All the people?
I mean, there was a handful of people. It's not like there was 10,000 people in the street. But people standing on their... So Chicago houses on the south side to give a small lawn. Mm-hmm. And so people are standing on their porches and standing on the sidewalk. And I'm it's 7 or 8 Indian people in front of the houses. And I was like, wow. No beef. I'm just pointing out that my neighborhood where I grew up, this area of Chicago was all Polish and like white, like I guess I don't want to say redneck because it's Chicago,
Like working class.
somewhere in between.
Polish
I mean,
people are
they were city billies. You know what I mean? City Billy.
Billies. That's
Yeah,
nice.
City Williams.
I like
We
City
give them
Billies.
respect.
I think
City
that's
Billies.
good.
And not hillbillies. But that's where I grew up. So it's like we were on the border of the south suburbs. There's a suburb of Summit. We called it Scummit. I don't know if some people probably live there right now. They're mad at me for calling it that. Or they're going, no, he's right. Yeah, we call it Scummit. You know what I mean? But now it's like what was once a Polish migrant neighborhood and largely just like white working class cops and firefighters. My friends are like, it's all Latino, Indian, and some Asian now.
Right.
And it's like the point I bring up is one, the demographics are absolutely changing. There's a desperation because there's no young people, nobody had kids. But also, what does this mean for our Constitution? If we were to rewrite it every time, oh, bro, we're in for a storm. I'll tell you what, because it doesn't matter if you do or don't rewrite the Constitution. If we all here are raised on the American tradition and believe in free speech and gun rights, and now we're all going to get a bunch of suppressors for every single gun we own, and we're going to get stocks for our pistols, which I guess technically makes them SBRs according to the ATF, but that won't matter anymore. We're all smiling as we do. And then when the police have a problem with it, we say, you can't search our stuff, and we have a right to confront our accusers. What happens when it's not all of us here raised on the American tradition, but 2 or 3 of us and then 17 dudes from China who are like, in China, you get arrested first. And then you get beaten and told to shut up. And then
your organs get harvested.
And then what happens when we're debating what happens in our Supreme Court in 50 to 70 years? It has 7 justices that are the children of Chinese migrants. And they're on the court and they say, the First Amendment clearly doesn't mean you can say anything you want. The First Amendment just meant that if you were going to be polite in public and adhere to the party's wishes, you could express your opinion. Free speech means you're allowed to agree with us. Because what the Founding Fathers really were worried about is that when you wanted to express your dear love for the Little Red Book, they would tell you to be quiet while leader is speaking.
Right.
What happens when they start doing things like that? The right to keep and bear arms meant literal bear arms. The Founding Fathers were talking about going hunting. And when you hunt a bear, you put his arms in your office. And then when we say that's not what the Founding Fathers meant, they go, it doesn't matter because we're the Supreme Court and we say it so.
The answer for that should be saved for the after show.
My point is, Thomas Jefferson did claim, like, you'll need a new constitution for a new people. And I'm like, nah. You have to amend the Constitution. And we haven't been doing that. We've been legislating the Constitution through the Supreme Court. And it's resulted in this wackaloon world where we don't have a Constitution anymore. Sorry, guys, we just don't. If you think the Constitution as written is what the Founding Fathers wanted it to be, you are wrong. And it's funny how conservatives and progressives both simultaneously agree and disagree with me when I say this. There are some progressives who are like, you're absolutely incorrect. It's Trump. He's destroying the Constitution. Then there are progressives that I meet that are like, no, yeah, you're right. That's never, I get these like far lefties and they say, you are completely correct, Tim. The Founding Fathers were white nationalists, white supremacists, and they wanted more. They wanted blasphemy laws, and they had them. Then I talk to conservatives and they're like, no, we are adhering to the Constitution's initial intent. The Founding Fathers did not think that a state had no right to ban you from owning guns. The Founding Fathers thought that if Virginia wanted to pass a law banning guns, that's their problem. The federal government wouldn't be allowed to do it, but Virginia can do it. Virginia does. The Founding Fathers thought that free speech did not mean you could blaspheme the name of Jesus Christ. In fact, when you're making that joke about, he's like, you let women vote, they'd actually be like, you let Catholics vote?
Right.
That would be shocking to them.
Yeah, it was a big deal when JFK was elected as the first Catholic because, I mean, he might have allegiance to the Vatican, as opposed to the United States. So,
indeed. Imagine where our Constitution is going to be, as I described it, in 50 years as these demographics change. We're going to get, it's going to be fascinating. I guarantee you this. If Islam continues to expand in the United States, as it is, now hold on, guys. There are variables. I don't know that it will. But if you can envision a 20 or 30% Islamic faction in the United States, I guarantee you will get Supreme Court rulings on the question of free speech where they will say things like, you will get, and I guarantee you this, as long as the density of Islam is high enough, a legitimate argument setting precedent on free speech where the sitting justice, Abdul Muhammad Syed, says the Founding Fathers would arrest you for blasphemy. You could not blaspheme. That law, only later on were these issues challenged. It is entirely constitutional to make it illegal to besmirch the good name of the prophet, peace be upon him.
Yeah, I mean, they could make changes, whatever they want, really, at the Supreme Court. They seem to not be entirely concerned with precedent. I actually...
Well, real quick, my argument is
Yeah.
there is historical precedent for the banning of blasphemy. So if you were to ask a Supreme Court justice right now, can we ban blasphemy? A justice could say, yes, the founding fathers' full intention was that blasphemy was not covered by the First Amendment. They won't because of the ideology of the justices.
Well, but they've also heard cases on blasphemy since, so
And they can overturn them.
They can, but they,
And an Islamic court would
there
do
is
it.
precedent that says that they'd have to go against. So
Indeed, and they overturn precedent all the time.
They generally avoid doing that.
But that's not the point, because I guarantee you an Islamic Supreme Court would be like, no problem.
Well, an Islamic Supreme Court.
And the point I'm making is not that any immediate Supreme Court justice would, but that I guarantee you if you got at least a soft majority of religious Islamists on the Supreme Court, they're going to say, the United States has a strong tradition. When it was founded, the founding fathers' intention on the First Amendment was that blasphemy would not be covered by free speech. It is only because of an attempted reinterpretation by progressive groups that this was ever allowed. And if the American people want blasphemy to be free speech, you need to amend the Constitution. Thus, it is so ordered, reversed. And then they're going to be like, it's going to be a case involving someone drawing a picture of Muhammad or something. I am not saying Islam will take over. I'm not saying they will get on the Supreme Court. I'm saying Islam is a strong religion. Muslims do not have the same issues Christians do. Christians stand back and say, live and let live. I'm not trying to, Muslims do not do this.
Well, Christians extend their values to those who disagree with their values, and they extend that grace. And that can turn into a problem. And it lacks a certain measure of self-preservation.
Yeah, and I mean I think that's kind of the argument that I'm summing up when I say that liberalism can't deal with authoritarianism.
Well, I guess if you listen to Tucker, Islam's not that bad, actually. And Israel made me say that they were.
Yeah, we're not going to listen to Tucker, though. Just saying.
What's really funny, though, is there's a lot of irony and paradoxes within the conservative arguments against Islam and all that stuff. I was watching this video on Instagram, and it was a dude who was out on the street and holding a sign saying Islam is a threat to this country. And then two LGBT people were like, that's offensive, is Islamophobia. And then he was like, what's wrong? Why do you think it's not a threat? And they were like, you're being a bigot to an entire people. And he was like, would you want to live in Saudi Arabia? And they were like, that's not what we're saying. And he was like, if they came here and implemented their government, they're going to force women to wear burqas. Women won't be allowed to vote, and they're going to throw gay people off roofs. And then the LGBT, he was like a trans guy and a woman, they were like, we're done. We're leaving.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm saying this for you. I don't understand. It's fascinating to me that it's progressives that would suffer the most under Islamic law or Sharia, and it's conservatives that recognize that it goes too far in one direction. But there's a lot of things conservatives would absolutely like that's in these these countries.
That's such an interesting thing. I was thinking about that with regard to the Mahmoud Supreme Court case, which I think actually, oddly enough, I think Sotomayor was right in her argument that it goes against the West Virginia case from 18 whatever. So West Virginia had this Supreme Court case ages ago. I think it was 18 something, whatever. I don't remember. Sorry, guys. But West Virginia schools said that Jehovah's Witnesses had to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And the Jehovah's Witness family was like, no, we don't believe in that. And so West Virginia said, okay, then don't come into school. And the Jehovah's Witnesses said, we still get to go to school. We just don't have to do the Pledge of Allegiance. And eventually what the Supreme Court decided was you can't tell them they can't come to school if they don't want to do the Pledge of Allegiance, but they don't have to do the pledge, but they do have to sit there through it, right? Because you're not free from exposure to ideas that you disagree with. And then in the Mahmoud ruling with Montgomery County, Maryland, we had a situation where kids were getting weird LGBTQ books read to them. And the parents, Mahmoud, and it was like a coalition, like it was Muslim parents, Christian parents, I don't know, like Jewish parents, some other kind of parents, whatever. They all were like, hey, we don't want our kids to have to be subjected to this, which I agree. I don't want my kid to be subjected to that trash either. And I do want him to say the Pledge of Allegiance, right? Okay. So in the Mahmoud ruling, the Supreme Court said you allow opt-outs for other things like sports activities. So you have to allow advance notice opt-outs for these things. And if you don't allow the opt-outs, then it's a violation against the religious liberty rights of these families because it's an undue burden to make them have to send their kids to religious schools.
Well, so my question for everybody is: should women vote?
Yeah.
Well,
I think
You think women should vote? What do you
yeah.
think?
I think women should vote.
What do you think?
Nobody should vote. No voting. I'll say it till I'm dead. No voting at all.
I'm sympathetic to Chris's perspective.
So should everybody vote?
I think, everybody who's of legal age to vote should vote.
Wrong answer.
You're a communist. You're a communist.
Okay.
What do you think? Should everyone vote?
Absolutely not. I mean, if you look at people with, for example, intellectual disabilities, we can't let somebody who has, profound intellectual disabilities vote because they just don't understand what's going on.
Agreed.
It would be, almost inhumane to, stand them up in a line and try and force them
If
come
you-
to a conclusion.
I think if you have any kind of disorder that would be defined as a perception misalignment with reality, you should be allowed to vote.
So that would be like all of the people who are like, I'm neurodivergent and that's interesting. No voting for them.
No voting for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
No vote for you.
Look, if there's a thing that is and you don't think it is, you can't vote. You know what I mean? I'm being very. I'll be very specific.
You
flat,
think
no
you
voting.
can change the
No,
weather with your mind?
No
You don't
voting
believe
for
in-
you.
not that
you don't
stuff.
believe in objective reality.
I'm saying
Isn't that objective
if I stand before you and I show you a car and you're like, that's a giraffe. I'll be like, can you define what a giraffe is? And they're like, it's a large mammal with a large neck. And you're like, okay, that's not correct. You can't see functionally. So the reason why you shouldn't be allowed to vote is because if I asked you to drive the car and then you ran off in the wrong direction, let's say somebody is dying. And I'm like, quick, get in the car and drive it. And then they run up and jump on a bike and then slam into a wall. You're like, that person shouldn't be dictating how this country functions.
But blind people could vote. And deaf
Yes.
people.
Well, what about,
and people with disabilities?
I'm talking about a mental disorder by which your perception of reality is incongruous with reality.
So we used to have these rules, right? There used to be
Schizophrenia.
rules in the South where you had to pass certain tests to be able to vote.
yes. But those tests were insane.
That was rigged. They were
Well,
really
the Supreme
rigged.
Court said you can't do this, and now Louisiana, anytime
Have you
make a
ever
change to your
seen
voting
these
rules,
tests?
you have to clear it with us. No, I didn't.
They're ridiculous. So
Should there be some kind of tests? Like maybe
but the problem
Rorschach
If you're
test?
alive, you can't vote. Chris,
no.
would you do me
Okay,
a
listen.
favor?
The problem is, so this is an example of a literacy test from Louisiana, is that the people in power can create a question with multiple answers and then say, "Oh no, we meant the other one.
Right. No,
You got it
sure.
wrong."
Chris, do me a favor and unpack your perspective on
monarchist
voting and
type of
how,
thing?
what your worldview is about voting and stuff like that.
Well, I'm coming at it from an anarcho-Christian point of view. I mean, we think about the political spectrum between right and left, Democrat, Republican, liberal, libertarian, commie, whatever. They all agree that there has to be some sort of an elected or appointed leadership. The anarchic spectrum is totally different. It's on a different, narrower portion of the inverted triangle. And all anarchists agree that you don't need a leader.
Look at this question. Draw a line from circle 2 to circle 5 that will pass below circle 2 and above circle 4. So what?
You have to go through it.
From 2, under 2. So you're going to start at the bottom and go under and then come up here and then go to 5?
Yep.
In the line below, cross out each number that is more than 20 but less than 30.
Okay.
So, see, I think that
Above the letter X, make a small cross. And then, so it's questions like this that often get people bring up because what if you did a plus sign? They go, that's not a cross, it's a plus.
Yeah, they need multiple.
What if you do an X? I'm like, that's not a cross. A cross is like a small T. Like, it's
Well, you could
ill-defined.
always just be like, look, this is upon which
You
they
could-
crucified my Lord. It's a cross.
That's actually true. I mean, that's probably what they were saying.
I mean, look, I'm an
Circle the first. Look at this. Circle the first letter of the alphabet in this line.
The first letter of the alphabet. So the first.
No, hold on. Circle the first, comma, first letter of the alphabet in this line. What does that mean?
I think it's the first letter,
Yeah,
which would
so
be the A in alphabet.
Yeah.
Well, and it could be. I mean, if there's
First letter of the alphabet in this line.
The
Yeah.
first.
Maybe I'm
letter of the
stupid, but I have no
alphabet. So
idea
The
what's
first
going on
time
there.
the A appears,
or it could be
an A appears.
if a B
That's
appears
how I
before the
understand
A,
it.
then you would.
Nope.
What are you saying?
Nope. It says circle the first, comma, first letter of the alphabet in this line, meaning they want you to circle the first. So you'd circle first.
Huh.
I could interpret this however I want.
Well, I could think that's probably the point. The point
Yeah.
was to stop black people from voting.
That's why these.
Right.
That's why they said you can't do this.
Right.
Draw
Which is
a
how we
line
ended up
under
with
the last
everybody
word
gets to
in this
vote
line.
so that it wasn't racist.
Like draw a line under the last word in this line.
Well, it'd be,
Draw a line around the number or letter of this sentence.
It's funny. There's a
what?
the number or letter,
10 minutes
which would
to
be
complete this
one.
task.
Yeah.
There's Canadian staffers at the Post Millennial, and we have midterms this year, and they're like, "You guys are always voting. What is this? How is it more vote? Wasn't there elections last Tuesday? Yes, there's elections every Tuesday until midterms.
I got it. Have you guys ever seen this speed reading videos where the word just flashes on the screen? You ever see these?
Yeah.
It'll do like 1,000 words and they flash on the screen for a
I've
fraction
seen
of a
that.
second.
And it's like, if you can read this, you're not stupid.
So how about we do 600 words per minute, giving you the instructions on how and where to vote? And if you couldn't follow it, you can. That's.
I have a much simpler solution. We just allow people to sell their votes, and then kind of the dumbest contingent of society would just sell their votes. I mean, I guess
That's
you could
true.
say it discriminates against poor people because
and
we
it
need the
favors
money,
cities because
But we
they
already have
True.
people selling their votes, right? In California on Skid Row.
allegedly.
$2 for a signature on a petition.
I like the net taxpayers can vote.
Look,
And I know that does favor libs because they live in cities and they pay more taxes typically, but I'm fine with it because then the people in the cities who have the money are going to be like, I ain't voting for more taxes.
That would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Look, I'm an agnostic, but I would actually, I think I haven't fleshed this idea out, but the idea of having like a federal government that's based on the Christian religion that doesn't change, and then your states can vote. Just don't have any federal voting.
Nothing federal level. So how do we get federal stuff?
Well, you could have I don't know. Maybe it would be something like the state legislatures. You can vote for your state legislatures. The state legislatures decide who's going to be running the federal government.
Some
And
states are like that. Like the state legislature decides.
used to be for the Senate.
Yeah,
Like
the Senate is.
Let them elect the president. Let them elect the Senate. No more House of Representatives. Your representatives are in the state,
I like
and
the
then
House of
they just stay there.
The House of Representatives is my favorite body of government.
That's because it's a clown show.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
We
But
all
also,
can laugh
do you
at
notice
them.
everybody always likes their representative and they still think Congress is trash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is literally an
This was
argument.
true in Brooklyn, too. I liked my representative.
This is an argument against voting. Everybody likes their own representative. Nobody likes Congress. Well,
Well,
maybe
because
we
none of
shouldn't
those
be.
representatives can get along with each other and come up with anything worthwhile.
I don't know, but the whole idea of like everybody should vote. I hate MTV for the rest of my life because of the whole rock the vote.
Paris Hilton looks so cute.
thing. Paris Hilton did look cute.
Agreed.
But it doesn't change the fact that like everybody shouldn't be voting. Like
Nobody votes. I'm with Chris.
All right, here we go. It's cleaner.
What do you think? Like just King Trump?
Well, no king, no monarch, no king, no appointed ruler or leader.
That's where we differ. I think that you need
And how do you
some kind of-
run things?
Well, listen, we're always going to be subjects to the state, and there's no place on earth that I can go where, and Malice talks about this too. There's no place on earth I can go where I'm not going to be a subject of the state and subject to its many abuses.
I disagree, but continue.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I disagree.
You don't think that the state is going to abuse its citizens in any way that it can?
No. You
anywhere
said
on
there's
earth?
no place I can go where I wouldn't be subject to the state.
Where would you go?
Middle of the woods,
There's still
Pennsylvania
gonna be a
Wilds.
state. I
What's
mean,
that?
you're going to have to pay taxes. There's still going to be a state.
You could go to a collapse
And
society.
so,
Huh?
You could go to a place
No.
like Somalia.
My question is: at what point in human history ever was there a place you could go that you would be subject to some person claiming, authority?
It doesn't exist. It's always been
It's
that way.
never existed. In which case, I argue that the claim that there's nowhere you can go has an implication that there perhaps could have been, if but not for the existence of the state. But in fact, if you go back to any point in human history, no matter where you went, someone claimed authority. So you could have been literally in the Western Front in the early 1800s. And the U.S. government, the Mexican government, Canadians, Native Americans, someone was going to say, it's ours.
Yeah.
There was nowhere you could go at any point in history. It's just a difference in population density, in which case, go up to the Yukon, you can do whatever you want.
And the fact that nature abhors a vacuum, like if you don't have some kind of authority, whether we like the idea or not, very few people are going to say, well, actually we all agree with Chris. And so it's blah, blah, blah. There's going to be people that are going to be in positions of authority. Human beings are hierarchical.
You're going to go, there's an island in the middle of nowhere, and you're going to be like, this is the one place where I will be free from the authority, right?
Yeah.
And I imagine you're going to have tools and a gun, and you bring your family, and you build a little house, and you got a little fishing area with some nets. And then one day, 3 random people show up and they say, we're going to take all your stuff. What are you going to say to them?
You give it to them.
You're going to give away your stuff.
Because you're an anarcho-Christian, and you're not attached to your life or your things.
So they come and they take all your stuff.
Not attached to your life?
They murder your family and then just
Jesus
leave you.
said that. He said, if you love your life, you'll lose it.
So when they show up on the island,
attached to it.
they slaughter your family, and you
Like
just go,
being alive.
Well, it's always about, everybody else talks about slaughter. That's like the extreme,
good stuff.
example. And I get that.
they tie you up, take all your
nevertheless-
stuff, and leave you to die.
Then you participate in the suffering of Christ.
So you just watch your family die, you just give up.
I think that's also called Quaker.
But no, hold on. Like
Yeah.
I have no problem with if that's your worldview, and I think that's why Christianity is being crushed by Islam.
Well,
Because nature abhors a vacuum, and someone that has the opinion of, I'm going to take this, I'm going to make this mine, I'm going to exert my will on the people that don't want to stand up for themselves, that's going to happen. So
of course. I mean, yeah, you're not going to be in a situation where you're not going to encounter violence, but the question is, do you respond to violence with violence and hope that solves everything?
Well, it'll certainly
Just spins
solve
out of
someone
control.
not killing your family.
Well, not necessarily. Somebody else comes along.
Well, yes, you may not
flee.
succeed, but I guarantee you, if you do nothing, then your family dies. So you have the choice of, I'll try to have my family live, or I'll give up and let them kill my family.
Well,
Like, what do you like? The math on this is actually quite simple. If Christians hold this view of, I will let the Islam do what they want, then Christianity will cease to exist in a couple hundred years, and that's fine, I guess. Sooner.
I mean, I share a different view. I mean, people that are truly animated by the Holy Spirit and their love of Christ and their determination to live as He lived can actually affect lots of change.
Do you think that Islam is expanding?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And in the United
it's very
States as well.
dangerous.
And
yes.
do you think that they will impose their religion by force?
They couldn't do otherwise?
Will Christians let them?
Yeah, we'd be martyrs.
And then in 100 years, when there's no Christians left, then what?
Well, that's not how the book ends. That's not how the book ends. I mean, I have a glimpse of what eternity is going to be on this earth, and Christ wins in the end.
I think that
I think Christian.
there's an argument that Revelation is it's predictive, descriptive, and I always forget the 3. Predictive, descriptive, and what's the other one?
Look for it.
There's 3. Oh, sure. The predictive is, here's what is going to happen. Here's how the book ends. The descriptive is, here is what has happened. And the third one, I forgot the word, is, here's what you must do.
It's kind of all 3.
Prescriptive.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's predictive of, here's how the book ends. The people who believe in the predictive message of the Bible are the ones who will sit back and let these things happen. I believe that's incorrect. Prescriptive is that, descriptive, I'll start with that one, is these things have happened before, and they inform us as to the future. There are some people who believe that Revelation was actually a description of historical events, and it was essentially a warning of this is what happened to us, and this is why you can't do bad things. And the prescriptive is, here's what you must do for this to come about. There are many people, and this has to do with the Red Heifer and the Temple Mount, everything that's going on in Israel, because a lot of these people are prescriptivist. They believe that they must take the actions of Revelation in order for the Messiah to come. And there are Jews who believe this, and there are Christians who believe this. I would simply argue that, God helps those who help themselves. And the people, or you, if your argument is, I will sit back and be a martyr because the book will end another way, no, you'll get crushed and wiped out.
Well, you're talking about an extreme scenario, obviously, but there is something
I disagree. I think we're watching it happen.
I think we're watching it happen too. And I also think that there's something to be said for, given the Quaker perspective, right? I went to a Quaker school, and one of my friends was Quaker, and we talked about this whole pacifism thing, like if somebody's coming at you, you let them kill you because that's the pacifist way to go. And he turned it around and he said, why is their life more valuable than mine? You know, like, why is anybody's life more valuable than mine if my life is not more valuable than others? So
you participate in the cycle of violence.
well, or, you know, if it's a choice between killing you and someone else, why not just let them kill someone else? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can twist it into any perspective you want. I think people misunderstand the Crusades. I got to say that, you know.
There's also a lot things that are a lot worse than death.
There are things a lot
That
worse
they can
than
do
death.
to your
Yeah.
family that I just couldn't let happen.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
And they do
I
them.
think it would be almost the antithesis of being a good Christian to stand by as a Muslim slaughtered your family.
Yeah, I think the right thing to do would be to slaughter the people trying to slaughter your family.
Yep.
Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that in our lifetime.
But for many people, it happens every day.
In
Where
Nigeria.
I'm not saying Islam, I'm saying where evil people seek to do us harm. And what did Jesus say? He said, buy a sword, sell your cloak if you don't have one. And that wasn't a direct statement about the general concept of people should be armed and defend themselves. It was particularly about he was in trouble and they were like, conflict is coming. And he said, buy a sword and sell your cloak to buy a sword. I don't know the exact quote. I'm not going to pretend to be a biblical scholar. But I've had a lot of conversations with many different denominations of Christian about this. And typically I hear from most of them, I think you're the only one I've ever heard say, sit back and let them slaughter your family.
Well, I had to really do a lot of research on to
Michael
really
Dukakis.
understand
Remember
the.
Michael Dukakis?
Is that what he said?
No, he kind of had that thing though with the revolving door prisons, the weekend furlough programs. He got slammed for this whole thing where he was like, "What if the guy raped your daughter?" Wasn't it him? Wasn't that Michael Dukakis?
I'm not
No
sure.
idea.
I don't remember that reference.
Was that like the 86 election or something? Or
Yeah, it was something
88?
like that. He was
88.
there in a tank. He looked dumb in a tank.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
too.
That was the end of
Yeah.
it. Helmets.
Yeah.
You never wear a helmet when you're running for president.
No, you can't do that.
Can't do that.
You
In
can
fact,
do the helmet hair, but not the action.
there was
I-
one of Ted Cruz's kids was trying to put a hat on his head, and he was like, "No, no, 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 no."
Why?
And people were like, "Whoa, that's weird." But then someone pointed out, "Look, ever since Michael Dukakis was wearing that helmet in the tank,
I think he actually had the chin strap.
he did. He did.
wow.
But that was the thing that Ted Cruz was avoiding. He didn't want to have a picture because you look what happened to
quite a thing
Dean, right?
remembering
Was his
him.
Yeah,
name
Howard Dean.
Howard Dean?
With his
Yeah,
yacht.
that
Oh,
ruined
yeah.
his career.
That was his whole thing. There he is. Look at him. He looks ridiculous.
Oh
He
my
looks
god.
ridiculous. But that's something that's something that
I can do it
presidents
'cause I run for office.
need to avoid. Like they have to worry about that kind of stuff.
You can't be yourself and run for president.
No,
You know, it's going to be wild in like 2036 when it's Ocasio-Cortez v. Fuentes.
Yeah, that's going to be a thing.
And we're going to be like, well, who are you voting for? And it's like, well, I'm not a big fan of Fuentes, but I can't vote for a communist.
And she's on the campaign trail with her surrogates carrying her embryos.
Flying communist flags.
Yeah.
And her surrogates are literal Chinese citizens.
Yeah, that's right. And she bought them because they were prisoners, and she just paid for that.
you.
Anyway,
You.
yeah, what were we talking about before it got religious? We were talking about
we
being
were
on an
talking
island.
about,
Oh, you were saying there's nowhere you can go where you wouldn't be subject. You had another point that you didn't finish, though, because I interrupted you.
My arguments are basically they trace back to Tolstoy. He's kind of considered to be the cornerstone for anarcho-Christian thought. And in his book, "The Kingdom of God is Within You," he crystallizes what that looks like, but from both a Christian perspective and a negation of the state and rejection.
It kind of sounds like something a Muslim wrote to trick Christians. Like, did you know that to be a good Christian, you should not fight me when I kill your family? Really? I'm going to kill your family, and if you want to be a good Christian, let me. And they go,
Listen.
well, okay, it makes sense, I guess.
There's a lot of ambiguity in the Bible, but Jesus' directive to turn the other cheek, somebody tries to take your shirt, give them your coat too, those are not ambiguous. They're very clear. I mean, like almost impossible to misinterpret.
I don't know. I don't think Jesus would want you to sit there and watch your babies get murdered.
I wonder if he ever said that.
I don't know, but I think otherwise we'd all be cool with abortion too.
That was my point.
You know, like what's the difference? Babies get slaughtered. Babies get slaughtered. It's same.
Well, I mean, it's essentially a conversation about salvation. There are people that are not saved, and there are people that are saved. And I mean,
I don't think I would be more saved. I mean, I got to say, if watching my child be slaughtered is what it takes to get to heaven, then I'm going to hell. You know what I'm saying?
If Luke
like
6:29 through 30, if someone takes your coat, do not withhold your shirt from them. Give to everyone who asks you, and if anyone takes what belongs to you, do not demand it back.
But your family doesn't belong to you. You're supposed to protect them.
Yes, but the the food they need to survive, the water they need to drink as they traverse the desert. And I go to them and say, actually, Luke says you got to give me your water, and I'm taking it. And then the man says, but surely my children will die of dehydration. I'd be like, well, you have to do it. And I've taken it. You can't ask for it back. And he goes, good point. Guess I'll die.
We're resorting to extreme scenarios that could be easily applied in daily life.
Extreme.
Yes, those are
This happens
extreme.
all the time.
I know, but we're talking about worldwide events. I mean, just locally, if one can apply these principles to their daily life and their day-to-day interactions with people in their community and their family, then I think you would see a massive change.
I think this message has more to do with, like, if your neighbor came to you and said, I need this, you'd share it with them. I don't think it means that when the barbarians are at the gates, you go, all right, everybody lay down. They're rape and kidnap our women and children, and then the men are all dead.
So you
love your enemies.
What's your take on
It doesn't
Love your
mean,
enemies.
it doesn't mean let them murder your children.
Well, you can love them and then cry as you kill them because they're going to kill your family.
So what's your take on just like self-defense, right? Like, so someone's attacking you or whatever, do you defend
The
yourself?
anarcho-Christian believes in absolute non-resistance to evil by force.
Oh, okay.
Quaker.
All right.
Absolute non-resistance to evil by force.
What's the difference between anarcho-Christian and Quaker?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with
this
Quakers,
is
quite
Quaker.
frankly.
But so, like, is the idea like Islam wipes out all the Christians and then Jesus comes back?
There's no scenario where that's going to happen according to my beliefs. I could be mistaken.
What stops Muslims or Islam from taking over?
People that are not anarcho-Christians.
The anarcho-Christians sit there and watch as...
Basically, Phil, Tim, Carter.
disagree. I mean, listen. There's Christianity in general in this country has been very submissive for 100+ years. It's been ridiculously submissive. It was submissive in Europe even. What, 2 or 3 crusades
in
and
Europe,
like
it's been
1,000
sort of
years
wiped out.
of jihad?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, and even now, like the torching of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
All the churches getting burned down. So I don't think it's anarcho-Christians, Phil. And I don't think there's enough secular people because they like Islam. The liberals
Could be the Jews.
who stopped them.
The Jews are good at self-defense.
That's what I'm saying.
They're great
I mean,
at
the
that.
Jews are. This is like it's like Ukraine. Basically, they're basically preparing for war against Islamic invaders and people who use tactics that are kind of unknown to us here in the West. I mean, they're operating actively in this kind of like guerrilla warfare. Obviously, it's wound down, but over the last few years, they have way more experience than we do in this kind of like tight-knit urban environment, fighting people who have no problems killing,
Killing
we got
children,
there's like
raping, the whole thing.
using them as
there's
hold
hold on. There's a couple million GWAT vets that spent the better part of the last 20 years fighting, whether it be in Iraq or Afghanistan. So I don't disagree with you about there's plenty of Jews that have been fighting, whether it be Hamas or Hezbollah or what have you. But like the idea that there's not a lot of Americans, we've got an entire generation of young men, that grew up, in combat. There are more people in America that have experienced combat now between, even though the boomers are old, the Vietnam vets and Gulf War I and then Iraq and Afghanistan. Like there are a lot of combat vets in the United States. So
You have a good point. I should have specified that this is just kind of like the latest iteration. Like they are the newest to do it.
sure.
And they are defending Christendom in a lot of ways.
I think so.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know that
I
they're,
would say that.
I don't know, maybe they're doing it like,
Indirectly.
yeah, exactly. Indirectly. Yeah. Because I don't think that they're thinking,
I don't think that's
Oh,
the primary
no.
goal.
St. Michael, they're not praying to St. Michael before they
Right,
go into,
right.
Go into the tunnels
Yeah.
in Gaza. But yeah, I mean, I guess that does, the
But there's
The-
probably,
if you're
some
making the
Christians in
argument that-
IDF.
What?
Yeah, for sure.
There's probably Christians in the IDF.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
I
Christians
imagine,
who live in
I
Israel,
imagine
sure,
that there
yeah.
are fewer, but if you're making the argument, look, it's better for the Israelis to control Jerusalem than for Hamas to control Jerusalem. When it comes to Christians, at least, it would be better for Israelis to control Jerusalem than Hamas. I think that is probably pretty obvious.
The DSA's plan is to make the whole thing Palestine with Jerusalem.
Their plan is to die because
at the center, and the Muslims are just going to kill them. I mean, Hamas leaders have said that they're just these useful idiots.
Yeah, all you have to do is look at the Iranian Revolution, and
It's
that's
so
So you're not saying it's going to be a free secular state with equal rights for all?
where everybody can be gay and trans openly,
Yes,
and
right.
yeah.
And Muslim.
Something tells me that's not going to be the reality.
I
Same
think
inkling.
I've said this before, and this was kind of like a meme
blue.
for a while, but conservatives need to just fully embrace the Islam thing for a while.
Yeah, I disagree entirely.
No, because you go to all the woke people, and then when they're like, we defend Islam, you'd be like, yes, and then you bring Islamic protesters to like pride events,
Right.
and then they're going to be like, maybe
thing
we don't
is-
like this.
I mean, in terms of like from what I understand, which is of course limited and based on one of our writers who used to write for us at Human Events, Madeline Martin, may she rest in peace. But she was working on a piece that she ran, and it was about how there are different stages of jihad. And one of the first stages is about how if you are Muslims and you are minorities in the culture where you are, make friends with the, for lack of a better word, Gentiles. Don't bring them into your heart.
Well, let me
And it's a slow takeover of the society.
let me ask for the Christians in the room. Obviously, you don't agree with the general, what's the right, like spiritual overarching belief system. So it's you believe in a different God. Of the political system that is Sharia and Islamic law, what don't you like about it?
I don't like the treatment of women, the eradication of education for women specifically. I don't like the notion of jihad or the thing where you,
Taqiyya?
What?
Taqiyya?
What the?
When you're allowed to lie to
Yeah, I don't
people?
like that. That's part of the whole jihad thing. Yeah. I don't like the forcing people to convert or making them pay a tax.
Oh yeah, what's that? called?
Jizya.
Jizya. Yeah. There's a lot of different.
What about
aspects like
what about you're Christian? Yeah,
I'm not a Christian, no.
Oh, not a Christian.
I'm like an athist. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My dad's Jewish, my mom's Christian.
you're atheist.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
atheist
wrong.
agnostic.
No,
Very
we-
well might be.
No, you all know way more about Sharia law than I do. Everything that you said, I agree with, and it's a theocracy, which I'm opposed to for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So-
Also, genital mutilation
That's a bad one.
and everything Libby said. Also, it's an authoritarian.
Wait, hold on a minute. Dude, they don't. Wait, I'm just thinking, it's kind of weird, right? Islam, they cut up girls, and the Jews cut up boys.
Yeah.
What's going on?
These are questions I'm asking myself.
Was that like?
As
Is
a-
that how the conflict started? The Muslims came in and they're like, "What are you doing, to a little boy?" And they're like, "What are you doing to those girls?" And they're like, "Ah!" They started fighting each other.
I was under the impression that didn't happen. Like in the Middle East, they don't do that, but they do that kind of in Africa.
I
The
think,
gen-
I think it's like in the
I don't know.
Sahel. It's pretty
Yeah.
big.
But also Michigan.
Wow.
Yeah, that and-
Michigan, Africa.
There's been some
Somalia
cases
part
about
two.
that. Yeah, there's been some cases where the judge has decided. I believe in Michigan, might have been Minnesota.
Also, honor killings. I don't
Honor
do that.
killings, totally bad plan. I don't like the thing where if
do they-
someone
is-
shows
is-
a cartoon of Muhammad, you torch their entire office.
Like in Saudi
kill all the
Arabia, they're doing these
journalists.
things.
I don't know.
I think Saudi Arabia
Saudi
has
Arabia, they
moved
have
past
Saudi
some of
Arabia.
top
it.
square where they go and
in
just
Saudi Arabia,
chop
women
your
are allowed
hand
to
off the
drive
ceiling.
now, so that's new.
That's been for a few years, though.
Yeah, still relatively new.
2000,
We're moving
2000.
Yeah, but in Saudi Arabia,
2018.
you can take
Yeah.
like a wad of a stack of
decade.
$100 bills and put it just outside.
On your Lambo.
No, on the ground, and no one will touch it.
Yeah.
That's because they cut
That's- yeah.
hands off.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's Hammurabi. It's the whole Hammurabi thing. Eye for an eye.
Well, Sharia would destroy the economy. It would destroy capitalism in the West because our whole economic system is ultimately built upon interest. And so if you can't loan money or borrow money, we're kind of screwed.
How do
That's
they
my
do
biggest
it
issue.
over there?
Well,
Oil.
yeah, I mean, they kind of, their economies are
Instead
built
of little silver pellets, it's
If
little
you
oil
if you
pellets.
look at the Islamic countries that are sitting on oil, those are the ones that are advanced and blah blah blah.
Yep.
You look at Afghanistan, you look at the Islamic countries in Africa that don't have oil.
Sudan.
They're all basket cases.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all just because of oil.
well, and
now-
Yemen is a disaster. All those places.
Yemen's.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with all the warring between them and Saudi Arabia.
It has a lot to do with like the massive death. Yeah.
yeah.
Just the creation of a population that's like mostly under 30. Never going to do well.
No, but yeah, it's not that they have good economies or whatever. It's they're sitting on liquid gold.
You know, I'll throw this out there to the chatters if you want to throw in some super chats. I'm genuinely asking, like, of the political system, throw in your concerns and criticisms of it. The reason I bring that up is because the thing they promote, that you'll see a lot of Muslims promote about Sharia law, are the things that conservatives do like. So, like, no crime is like the easy example. So I'm interested in the finer arguments of why don't they like it.
I wonder, would conservatives like, chopping off hands for stealing?
Well, my whole thing is like in the United States, our ethos is that we trade safety for liberty. And so we're willing to accept a slightly less safe society in, let's say, the case of gun rights. So like, are we willing to go all the way and make our society super safe, but by enforcing these extremely harsh consequences on?
I don't think our society is that way. I think the fact that every year the surveillance state expands and new laws are put on the books, we give up our liberty every single day, and by demand.
We do.
People are screaming and demanding it.
Keep giving more of it up.
Yeah, flock cameras.
We give it up for convenience generally. Like the people that have
it's not a conscious choice, right?
Well, I mean, it probably not, because all of the they're obviously the cameras and stuff like that. That's something that's bad. But we had someone that was in here yesterday arguing for them, saying, "Look, you can find missing kids, you can find people that have actually committed crimes faster, etc." And while he was making good points, I am not convinced by the argument for flock cameras, but at the same time, I'm, walking around with a microphone and a camera that could be turned on at any time, and I would have no idea someone just has to know how to actually access it. And most of us do. Like the vast majority, I think 95% of Americans have a smartphone nowadays, right? So the idea that Americans are actually really concerned about their privacy, or they're really concerned about being anonymous and stuff like that, they're not. And you can tell they're not, because they have these tools. You can opt out if you want to, right? You can say, I don't need a cell phone, or I don't go out of the house with a cell phone. You can't. I think it's probably pretty hard to find landlines now, but like you could have a cell phone and just leave it at home, and when you go out and leave, you can have an old vehicle that doesn't have computer chips in it. Now, obviously, this is not an easy thing.
Print out your MapQuest, because you can't even buy a map at the gas station anymore.
Yeah, I mean, so it is possible.
My mom hoards her maps.
Good for her.
I know. It's cute.
But, the idea that people are strongly against these things, they're against them when they first hear about them. Like when the Xbox 360 first came out, it was always connected to the internet.
That camera.
And I was like, I'm not buying that. I'm never blah, 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 blah. 3 years later, I was like, all right, whatever. Because by that time I had an iPhone, and I was like, well, whatever, it's fine. It becomes a situation where the convenience outweighs the intrusion. And Gen Z and Gen Alpha don't have the same concept of privacy that someone my age does, right? I'm 51. And so like the idea of privacy when I was a kid, I would get on my bike and leave. Nobody knew where I was.
That was good stuff.
Yeah, it was like literally like there was no tracking system, none of that stuff. The cameras weren't everywhere. So like I understand.
In college, we had a hall phone.
What?
In college, we had a hall phone.
Oh yeah, like a
phone down the hall with no answering machine.
Yeah. I remember what payphones were like. In fact, I think when I started touring, payphones still existed.
My first apartment, our phone was the payphone outside.
But Gen Z
like in
and Gen
Spider-Man.
Alpha don't have.
I mean,
I
I
love Spider-Man.
I don't know a pre-9/11 world. I've never used the payphone in my life.
My girlfriend's.
You never used a payphone?
No.
So back in the day, there was this trick. It was called 511-ing a phone. You guys know this one?
Yeah.
If you dialed 511 and then the phone number, it would click and then click. If you hung up, the phone would ring.
Huh.
And so we would just put the phone down and then walk away, and then the phone would ring, and some guy would like, hello, and there's like nothing there. It's like the most
out of The Sopranos.
It's like the stupidest prank imaginable, because it literally did nothing, and we didn't even know what it was or why it was.
I used to do the thing where I'd call my family collect, and they would pick up the phone.
Oh yeah.
And the message would it would say your name after the beep, and it would be like, this is Libby, I'll be home at
Yeah. You'd 1-800 collect, and it would be like, would you like to receive a collect call from? I'm at the park. I need a ride home. Bye.
Exactly.
Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like it's normal to have the location service on for you and all your friends. So you can. I know people that are just like, they look at their phone and they're like, where is this person? And
my brother has that, and actually, my brother and we have shared location.
Mm-hmm.
And
No. Let me tell you a story.
I can see where my parents are, and they are elderly.
Always turn on location on your device, shared location. Because when we were in Vegas, I think it was Brandon. I think he forgot. He left his phone at a machine or something, and someone found it. And so then he went to go look for it. It was gone. But our security guy was like, we have shared location on. So he turned on his phone and an arrow points in the direction of his phone. And then we walked up and there was a door and it stops. And we're like, it's in this room. And it was a security room. The security guys picked it up and put it in the room. And then they're like, here you go. That's why shared location's amazing.
Yeah.
How old are you, by the way?
21.
Man.
Yeah. I don't share my location with anyone.
No, I'm just saying it sucks. Because when I was a kid, it sucks for you. You missed the golden age.
I know.
Like my parents and like the Gen X people, like and the older people were like, nobody was talking about how the 80s were technologically better. They were like, oh, cool new thing. The new video game counts so amazing. Now it's the future and everyone's like, the 90s were so good. So like in the 90s, everybody was excited for new stuff. And then in 2000s, people were like, yeah, it's okay. Now everybody wants to go back to the 90s.
Mostly once we got laptops and I was good. Like all I wanted when I was a kid, like my mom always had this collection of cigar boxes and me and my friend Julia would turn them into like fake laptops because it was before laptops and we'd pretend we were on a spaceship. We'd like put tin foil in and we'd make like little levers and everything. And so all I ever really wanted was a laptop. And so then once I got a laptop in 1993, I got an Acer Anywhere computer. My dad bought it for me, or 94, whenever I got it, who knows. It was awesome. And
That's
then
a
I
big
was
deal
happy.
in 94.
And I was
Laptop,
very
yeah.
happy. Yeah, it was good.
Awesome.
2008 is when it all fell apart.
2008.
That was the
everything fell
ubiquity
apart.
of internet.
Yeah, internet and the housing bubble.
It was 2008 was when everybody had the internet in their pocket. So before 2008,
I didn't get mine until 2000.
it was 07. The iPhone comes out, and it was pretty crummy. Like it worked, and you could go on Facebook. And I remember being on a train in Chicago. I was on an L, and my friend had just gotten one, like the very first iPhone, and they were like, "Dude, look, Facebook," and they were scrolling, and I was like, "Wow, that's crazy," because it used to be. Before this, I had a like a singular rocker. Remember I don't know if you guys know what the rocker is. It had speakers in it. It's a candy bar phone, and you could send texts. I had AOL Instant Messenger on there, and it was 10 cents per message. So I remember we racked up an $8,000 bill once.
Yeah.
Well, because it told us it had unlimited messages
It lied.
in our plan.
It was
But then they
always a
said,
lie.
but then they
It was a
said,
lie.
no, because AIM doesn't count as messages, and we were like, what? And it was a really weird web app. But for the most part, you couldn't really stop, sit down, load the app, and then you didn't do it. So what would happen is, I'd go out. I had a moped, and I'd go ride to my friend's house, and then I'd be like, knock on the door, not there. Try calling him. Where are you at? Nah.
Was this in New York?
No, Chicago, and there's no internet.
So you were in
So
New York,
I'd
2
wake
years
up,
later.
I'd go online, check my email, see what's going on. Then I'd go outside and I'd go do stuff all day, having no idea what's happening in the world. None's the wiser. No anxiety. Then you'd get home, you check the internet, see your messages, talk to people, and go to bed. Sometimes you'd get home, and then you'd pull up AOL Instant Messenger, and somebody'd be like, I got 5 messages from a friend. They'd be like, yo, party, where you at? And I'd be like, oh, man, am I too late? And then I'd message them back, and I'll be like, well, I'm going to show up anyway, and then you make it. Today, everything, everywhere, all at once, all the time.
I don't know. I still miss parties. Like just yesterday, I checked my Signal and I'd been invited to something, and I was like, "Oh, that was 2 weeks ago." I just had an
Old people parties are whack.
Well,
I don't want to go to an old person party.
I don't
dude.
even know what it was.
No, let me tell you something. We have parties, and parties for us, it's like, oh, we're gonna do a big event. You should come. And it's like people in suits, and there's a bar, and there's like hors d'oeuvres, and
the
everyone
bar
just
and the hors
talks,
d'oeuvres are
and the
good.
music's
Those are
really
good.
loud, and you can't really talk. Parties when you're like 20, it's like you walk into someone's house, and there's someone doing a keg stand, and everyone's just jumping, and the floors moving up and down with you, and you're just pumping kegger into your red cup, playing Flipadelphia. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
See,
used to
that's a
I
fun
used-
party.
I used to throw some killer parties.
Yeah.
Those were good.
You need to
Not-
party. You need to party with us. We only hang out with old people.
Yeah.
Everybody's retired, old. We go to a party, we're playing bingo and playing trivia. It's the best. I'm telling you, I'm a big proponent of that.
I'm saying you go to parties in my 20s is you walk in, everybody's jumping to like a song, the whole floor feels like it's going to
House
break.
parties were good.
And then there's like, in my day, everyone in Chicago, so everyone's singing Alkaline Trio, every song.
Mm-hmm.
You walk in, walk from the front door, and then all of a sudden you'll hear like Goodbye Forever come on. And then all of a sudden everyone in the party is screaming and singing. They're holding beers. Everyone's getting drunk. Now I go to a party and there's like a guy in a suit and he's got like his wife and she's well dressed and they're like, a guy walks by and he's got little like deep fried little rice patties, a little
Dude,
tuna
why are you
tartare on it.
knocking the past hors d'oeuvres? Those are great.
They're delicious. I'm just saying it's different.
No, I mean when I used to go to like the art openings or whatever, there'd be past hors d'oeuvres. I would like go to the art openings to eat
That's not
free
a party
dinner.
that I'm talking about.
You know, it'd be like
I gotta be honest though. Like at the same time,
stand by the
the
kitchen.
reality is there was a time and a place for those kinds of parties. I'm more like everything I do has a purpose, whereas back then it didn't. So it didn't matter if you went to one of those parties. Like so when I'm 22, I'm like I'm gonna go to a party and just slam
to
a
a
bunch of
party
beer and then
have
party,
fun.
sing,
Sure.
and then tomorrow who knows? Today it's like, nah, we're filming a vlog tomorrow, so I've got my gear, it's set up. Like I got stuff to do that I want to do. In hindsight, if I had this mentality when I was 20, I'd probably be a billionaire.
Oh, I used to. I had that mindset, and I'm not a billionaire, and I don't think I'm ever going to be a billionaire. But like, I would go to parties. I would stay up all night, and then I would make it to work on time.
But that's what
then
I'm
I
saying
would,
right
like,
now
get
is the
to
reason why I don't go
rehearsal.
to those parties is because I'm like,
You're doing other stuff.
what am I going to do tomorrow that adds another brick to another layer? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Back then it was like, the party's the party, man. And then tomorrow we'll wake up, we'll figure it out.
sure.
Today it's like, no, I got my plan set up for the next several months. Like we have a calendar of all the shows we're doing.
Nice.
I'm not going to a party. I get invited to a party on the weekend, and I'm like, are you nuts? Sunday I'm waking up and I'm gonna have breakfast, and that's my day to relax, to recharge for the week because I have stuff to do. Back then it was like, if I go to a party, I'll just call in sick.
I never would call in sick after party. I would always make sure that I was ready for the morning.
Well, I worked at Jamba Juice, so
Take full advantage of your 20s.
I'll tell you.
Max.
I'm trying.
My advice to you is to be as arrogant as you can, but professionally. So I'll tell you a
Why
story.
do you say that?
What's that?
Why do you say that?
Man, the 20-year-olds I meet in this industry, I don't want to say unimpressed, but I'm worried.
Well, I'm worried if you're a 20-year-old in this industry. No offense.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I'm
like,
taken.
I'll tell you a couple stories. So I worked at a Jamba Juice, and I also play music. And so I think I was 20, going on 21, when I lived in Lakeview. So I make smoothies all day, and I go to my boss, and I'm like, hey, in 2 weeks I'm playing a show at the Ashbury. I didn't actually say the Ashbury, but it's for everybody who's listening. That's where I was playing the show. I was like, in 2 weeks I'm playing a show on Saturday, so I'm not going to be able to work Saturday. I can work the morning, but then I got to leave because I got to be there by 6. And so I'm going to do the shows until like 3 a.m., so I'm out. And she's like, okay, no problem. When they put the schedule for that week, I went and checked, and it had me opening on Sunday. At that means I got to get there at 5 a.m. And so I immediately, like, the manager wasn't in when I get there, and I'm like, yo, what? I already said I can't do this. So then, this is when I was like 20. So then when I finally, a couple days later, we're on the same shift, and I was like, hey, you scheduled me for Sunday morning. I told you I was playing a show that until like 3 a.m. I can't do it. And she goes, well, you're scheduled, so you have to come. And I said, I don't think you understand. I told you I cannot come, okay? I won't be here. And she's like, you're scheduled to be here, and if you don't want this job, let me know. I was like, okay. I took my apron off. She's like, no, stop. And I'm like, my life, what I'm planning is more important than what you're trying to do to me.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything. Have a nice day. And I walked out. And I quit on the spot. And that was a Wednesday. I was like, later. I didn't have a job.
I quit on the spot one time too. I was interning for this theater company, and I was doing all this work. And then I gave notice, and then they had me train someone who was getting paid, and I was just interning. I wasn't getting paid. And I realized they were getting paid. And I was like, oh, okay. So at the lunch break, I dropped a hit of acid and walked out. That was that.
That's how we do it.
That's how we
So
roll.
I guess what I mean about the arrogance is, so I worked at Vice in 2013. And I was then 26 going on 27, I think. Actually, no, I think I started when I was 27. I would have been 27. I don't know, actually. No, I think so. And I had no problem walking up to any of the executives. Like, it's just crazy to me. At the time, there were people that, I remember this one dude was like, I got this really great idea I want to do, but like, I don't know how to do it. And I was like, why don't you just ask Shane? And he's like, what? Shane was the CEO. And I'm like, there's like 300 people in this building, bro. Shane walks through every single day. Just walk up to him. Just tell him you want to do this project. And he's like, oh, I can't do that. I was like, huh?
Did you read that article from Mitchell?
It was amazing.
So
he nailed
good,
it completely. Everything he said it's like, I've never seen a better article outlining exactly how things went down and why they went down. That dude,
well written too.
he knows it all. I read that and I was like, so he was an intern when I got hired, and then he stayed after I had left. So he had been there before me as an intern, and he was there after me as a staffer. And this is an article about Vice. I tweeted about it, and he just perfectly nailed it. This is really important. what he wrote. Joe Rogan is a bro. Barstool, they're bros. Outkick, they're bros. And Vice, they're bros. And Shane Smith was the king of the space. And they got really big. And when the corporate interests came, they said, you have to be woke. And it wasn't about him going woke. That's what Mitchell said. It's about him wanting to please people and be what the media wanted him to be. He was jealous of Teen Vogue. So he changed, chasing after this, and he smashed the multi-billion-dollar brand in desperation to look good to corporate interests who didn't understand the space. And Mitchell said, and Joe Rogan and Portnoy and Travis, they stayed true and sold and cashed out. But anyway, my point is, when I worked at Vice, I'd walk into the boss's office, sit down, put my feet up, and be like, what's going on? Like, what you working on? And who am I?
Right.
But all these other people at the company were like terrified to talk to the bosses. So I'm like, young people got to be more arrogant. I mean, maybe
Maybe it's more confidence than arrogance.
I think you don't want to be unprofessionally arrogant, but more than confidence. Okay. More than confidence. Because the thing is, although confidence does sound often like the more professional, like it sounds like the professional of arrogance, you got to be a little... if you go up to one of the bosses and you tell him he's a dumb POS, and you know, if I was in charge of this company, we'd have doubled our profit. You'd think he's going to be like, you can leave. Yeah. But if you go to the boss and say, listen, with all due respect, I know what I'm talking about. Okay. Right. I know you know your space. You've built something tremendous. What I'm doing is going to make millions of dollars. Now you can be involved in my project. Then they're going to be like, all right. Tell me what you got going on. Confident is, hey, I want to make this pitch to you. I know it's going to work. Trust. They're going to be like, yeah, listen, buddy, I hear this all the time. Arrogant is where you're getting their attention, just as long as you're not condescending or insultingly arrogant.
Understood.
But I say this, when I worked at Vice, everything we're doing right here, I pitched to the executives.
Well, and of course, you have to remember, too, that this is something one of my friends in grad school told me. The thing you're doing is better than 95% of the other crap out there.
Yeah.
So just go with it. It's better.
I was at Vice, and I explained exactly this show to them. Mm-hmm. And they said, yeah, I mean, that'd be great. And then, they didn't want to do it. And I said, whatever. And then when I quit, everybody was shocked because I quit mid-2014 when Vice was at their peak. And everybody my age was like, are you insane? You were a correspondent for Vice. And I was like, yeah, I have numerous Vice stocks with millions of views. Mm-hmm. At the time, this was the dream of every millennial.
Sure.
I was getting emails from people like, I want to work with you. How do I do it? I had, I did the Kim.com thing. It got like 5 million views overnight. And people were like, man, it's so cool. And then I quit. And then people asked me why. And I said, well, I hired Vice to do a job for me in exchange for my value and labor. And they didn't do the job. So I fired them. And everyone, the mentality of the millennial was like, but you worked for them. No, I went to the executives before I started there and said, here's what I want. And in exchange for what I want, I will give you something in return. And then when they didn't deliver within 3 months, I had a meeting with the boss and I said, performance review. I said, listen, I have been holding up my end of the bargain. Y'all haven't been holding up your end of the bargain. I expect these things. And I think I have delivered on my end. And so they said, okay, give me more money. He said, we're in a sign of good faith. We're going to give you a raise. Go talk to the producer. We're going to get these things done. Then we had some movement and it was like half-assed. Another meeting. We're sorry. Bring in Jim. We'll get it done. And then finally, the third instance, I just said, you're fired. And then I get a call from one of the bosses and he's like, what do you mean you quit? And I was like, oh, yeah. I appreciate everything you guys did for me. It's not working out. So, I'll be moving on. And then he was like, no, you don't quit. You don't quit. And I was like, no, I quit and I actually cashed the check already. So I'm working for Fusion. And then he was like, no, this isn't over. And I said, it's over, brother. Thank you. Have a nice day. And he's like, I'm going to call you back. And then he never did. Yep. You got to go out there and you got to know what you're doing, man.
Or pretend that you do. You can also fake it.
Well, faking is a lot of it for the most part.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I actually had the inverse of that in that there are people who fake it till they make it. My thing was that I actually was wrong a lot, but I was just so damn sure of myself. The truth is, this show that we have,
go ahead, sorry.
Everything that we did, I pitched directly to the executives of Vice and to Fusion, and they did not do it. And I just think, I'm so grateful that they had such a myopic view of the media space, because if Shane or, Eddie or whoever at Vice was like, you know what, Tim, we're going to do your podcasting idea. I wouldn't own this company. I'd probably be living in a 2-bedroom bungalow with a very, very small net worth, and they'd be making bank off of my ideas and all the work that I did. But you know what? At the time, I was more than happy. I was like, let's make some cool stuff happen. And then they told me no. And then I went to Fusion, and Fusion was like, no. And then I was like, fine, I'll do it myself. And I, put on the podcasting gauntlet, collected all the podcast stones, and then here we are.
Managed to not electrocute any dogs?
Well, actually, there was this one time where no, it was
cats.
It was cats. Yeah, we would juggle cats. All right, everybody, we're gonna head over to the uncensored portion of the show in 10 minutes. So get those chats and Rumble rants, and we're gonna grab your Rumble rants and super chats right now. Before we do, we got another sponsor. It is Keat.io. My friends, I got a question for you. Why should your messaging app need to know anything about you? And I have asked myself this on so many different apps that I've used. Why do I need to sign into this? Why do I have to give you my information or connect to any of my accounts? Most of us have already accepted that technology companies collect enormous amounts of information. What we click, where we go, what we buy, who we interact with, what information is valuable because your attention is valuable. Keat takes a radically different approach. It's a free messaging, file sharing, and video calling app built peer-to-peer. No centralized company database holding your conversations. No metadata tracking. No phone number or email required. Your messages are end-to-end encrypted and move between the people in the conversation. Your private life shouldn't be another crop in somebody's data farm. Visit Keat.io/Timcast IRL. That's Keat, KEET.io/Timcast IRL. Download it for free. Invite somebody you trust. Start a conversation that belongs to you. You don't need an email. You don't need a phone number. There's no trackers. None of that. It's encrypted. No centralized database. Peer-to-peer. Free on all the app stores. Check it out. Shout out. Thanks for sponsoring the show. That's always great. I got to give a shout out to Keat. Look, they're buying a sponsorship from us, and the app is free to use. Like, they're not profiting off of it in that direct way. So I respect that. They do what they say they do. Let's see what you guys want to say. G.I. Jeep says, happy NFA Day. It is a glorious day.
Big day. I got 2 silencers on the way to my...
you got what?
Two cans, 2 suppressors. The Maxim silencer, which was the first patented suppressor, was called the Maxim silencer.
Yeah.
But I've got 2 cans heading to my local FFL to fill out the 4473 and nothing else.
AK Storm says, what started all this was Sophie Cunningham saying men shouldn't play women's sports. I wonder what would happen if she thanks the NBA for doing just that. That's the play. If, this is the double-edged sword. If they keep Royce White and Enes Kanter out, then everyone's going to be like, we won. But I got to be honest, I think the progressives are going to avoid this issue.
Yep.
A Democratic PAC did an analysis on Trump's they-them ad and found a 3 to 5 point voter swing. And I think GLAAD found a drop in support for trans issues by 8%.
Oh, yeah. And they found a huge drop in support in Hollywood. In fact, there were no children's shows with trans or LGBTQ themes last year.
How horrible.
I know. They were super disappointed. And I was glad, just like GLAAD wasn't.
General 45K says, I'm sorry the views are down, so I'll do what I can to help you guys out. In addition to the Discord, love the show. Well, I will just say this. It's not a bad thing. It's every 4 years. Benny Johnson made a great point. He's like, so the New York Times and a bunch of outlets copied the story where they're trying to smear all of the people in the space, like, look how down their views are. And it's like, he said, that's like saying soccer viewership is down following the World Cup. Like, we had a presidential election. Everybody had massive views. Now we're moving into the off cycle and views go down. Where our viewership right now is comparable to where it was in 2022. So it's just kind of like, this is what happens. However, overall, our viewership is up. So Timcast IRL, of course, its viewership is down from where it was a year ago. It's comparable to where it was 4 years ago in the off cycle, which I would argue is a little bad because there's always supposed to be a little bit of growth. But I do think Trump having a trifecta coming out of the COVID era, we're going to see a little bit of a dip here. The expectation is that with $1 billion being pumped into the midterm elections coming up very soon, you're going to see the algorithm start blasting off a lot of this content. What I will say is when live stream viewership goes down, we don't just go, oh no, we've planned for this and reprioritized a bunch of things. So our viewership across the board has been massive. We've got clips on Facebook now with millions of views. So that's just, our Facebook's been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And people might say, yeah, but Facebook is, well, look, man, it is what it is. The views are there. The demographics are largely similar. They skew only a little bit older. So it's like late 30s on Facebook, where YouTube is low 30s, early 30s. But we're making more and more money across the board. Facebook just launched this new creator program where if you have at least 1 million followers, they guarantee you $3K a month just because.
Really?
Free money. Yeah, it's called like the Creator Fast Track program or something. And then X just announced that they're doing the new creator program starting in September, which I fully expect. You heard it here. X creators are probably going to get massive viewership and make insane money. I'm going to say this. Actually, I should just say it straight to Elon. You're only going to make money on X if you produce original content, articles, videos. If you're just reposting someone else's content, you don't get money off that anymore. So this was like, Nikita was
Beer, yeah.
Beer. He was removing all these accounts for doing it. They formalized it now. A lot of accounts will just quote tweet, generate a lot of engagement, and then they're like, that's not enough. You got to do a little bit more than that. If they algorithmically prioritize video, then like the amount of so what's going to happen is all of the ad revenue for X is being consolidated into a very small group because very few people make original content. The reposters are eliminated from that. That concentration of ad revenue is going to be spread out amongst those producing, and there's very few who do. And we're one of the biggest ones. We post a lot of all of the clips from Timcast are posted on X like 3 or 4 times a day. And then this show is live on X. If they algorithmically prioritize that, 2 things happen. Monetary consolidation. So that means the money we would normally get is going to be 10x because fewer people get it. And with an algorithmic push, our viewership is going to go way up. And then our share of the money is going to be even greater. The best thing X can do right now, I think, is to promote original content. What is killing the platform, and they've already noticed this, is all the regurgitated garbage content. I pointed this out earlier in this year. All these conservatives turn into aggregation channels. There are individuals, you know what, I'm just going to say this with all due respect, but Brandon Struck, his Twitter account turned into an editor just reposting clips from the news. And it was like a clip every 10 minutes of just some random news thing. That is boring, and I'm uninterested in that.
Well, not only are they just aggregating, but a lot of times it's just some guy in his mom's basement in Pakistan who's just doing this. Not even an American. There's no original commentary whatsoever.
And this is another thing another component of the new thing is that you have to be producing content for the region you're in or something to that effect. Like,
yeah.
Did they make that change? Because I thought they walked that back.
The new creator change? I already signed up for it.
No, not the creator change. The change about
so
regional.
That's in the new terms of service for starting September 10th, I think it is.
Okay.
So in the app, actually, let me pull this up. I got like a notification. So what do you go? You go to Creator Studio, and it says original content rewards coming soon. Let me see what it says. Subscribe to Premium, be at least 18, have at least 500 verified followers. Have at least 500,000 verified home timeline impressions in the last 90 days, not including replies. Interesting. And it says check back later. Okay, yeah, here we go. Let's see. It's in here. The rules. Impressions from the same account created more than once per. The following are excluded: paid, promoted, artificial, fraudulent. Minimally let's see. The following content types are not considered original: copied content, minimally modified content, aggregated content, cross-platform reposts. Interesting. Oh no. Okay, if it's other than the original creator. Interesting. Let's see. It says somewhere that you have to be based in a country where the original content rewards program is available. Okay, so maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought I got to read through it because I'm pretty sure it said something about the content you produce, the revenue generated is based on the region that you're in, which would make sense because otherwise an Indian guy they'd be selling ads on an Indian guy's content to Indians. That makes no sense.
Right.
So,
but if he's producing content on American politics in an Indian language, then I suppose it'd be fine.
If the ads are for Indian people
yes,
in
of course.
India.
Yeah, in Indian language, right, yeah.
Yeah, the issue is if you have 1 million followers in, Pakistan, why would an American company want to run those ads? All right, let's see. Same Old Man says, we need to reintroduce the McCarran-Walters Act. Islam was banned from the USA in 1952 because it was a threat to the Constitution. We need to just ban Islam and Islamists from the United States.
What happened? Was it challenged in
Now,
Supreme
communism
Court?
was
1964 happened.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. There you go.
Civil Rights Act.
Dallas Wood says, the verse you're looking for, Tim, is Luke 22:36. Look it up. No way I let my family die and just watch. That's not Christian. That's cowardice.
Well, you don't have to be mean about it.
Tiffanel says, the instruction about your swords. But now, if you have a purse, take it and also a bag. And if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. The disciples said. Interesting. All right. What does this one say? Mason says the Jews actively collaborated with Muslim invaders into Europe pre-Crusades. Counting on them to save Christians is folly.
Well, the Muslims in the Middle East teamed up with Hitler and promised Hitler that they would finish the job.
Yeah. This guy probably thinks that it
There's a reason Mein Kampf's all over Gaza.
Yeah.
This
Is
guy
it really?
probably thinks
Oh,
that-
yeah, everywhere. Find it in schools.
Arthur Palmer says turning the other cheek is about forcing the Roman to disrespect you when he strikes you. I.e., if someone is going to hit you, make them mean it. I've heard that before, too, that there's all these different interpretations. The interpretation was that turning the other cheek was basically to insult them, as if to say that this means nothing to me, that you are pathetic, Kind of like how tipping is offensive in certain Asian cultures. Like giving them money is seen as like an insult. But I'm not saying I believe it. It's just... All right, let's grab a couple more here. We got Carl Mango. Is that what it says? Magno. Carlo Magno. Tim, invite Sam Shamoon or David Wood on to talk about Islam and Sharia law, preferably not at the same time since they're having a beef right now.
Definitely do it at the
Sounds
same
fun.
time. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, I nominate Chris for a culture war religion show. Okay. We'll get Michael Malice. You know what we'll do? We'll get a Christian, a narco-Christian, an anarchist.
Yeah, I love it.
And then we'll go at it. All right, let's grab one more here. Let's see. Clank Clank, I'm a tank, says Justice Spears is so scared she would wear a hijab if Islam got to 15% of the population. Yikes. I don't know. I completely disagree. My friends, smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you've ever met in your life. We're going to the uncensored portion of the show to talk about what Phil wanted to talk about. Should be interesting. So you can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Sir, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Instagram at Max Zoltan, 2 N's, and I'm on X at Max Zoltan Garley. Thanks so much.
It's my turn. I would really love to shout out our sponsor for the Pod Millennial, Sound.money, and you can check them out at sound.money/Libby. They are bringing silver and gold to the people like it's Coinbase or Kraken, but it's better because it's America first. So you can go check them out. They support everything that we're doing at the Post Millennial and the Pod Millennial, supporting us, and Katie Davis Court, Andy No, and all the rest of the gang. So if you go check them out, I would really appreciate it. Thanks.
Nice. Chris Carr 17 on X. Come check me out.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. You can check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Phil That Remains. The band is All That Remains. You can check out All That Remains music on Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, Spotify, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime. Carter.
I'm Carter Banks. You can follow me at Carter Banks everywhere, at Carter Banks Official everywhere else. We'll have some new music news soon, so go check out our label at Trash House Records on YouTube.
We will see you all over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL right now. Thanks for hanging out.